It's crazy, but it's true. We're back on Tuesday night, the Horror Syndicate Discourse, and tonight, by the way, this isn't yours. This is mine. We're talking about the House of the Devil, the Ty West film that first saw on Netflix back in like 2010 or 2011. I always like to make a list of, like my favorite horror movies, and I saw that and Insidious at the same time. Not the same time, one right after another. Actually, I had two TVs up, Insidious and The House of the Devil. And this one really grabbed me. It's a slow burn. It's not for everyone, but damn it, I loved it. I think the whole panel loves it. And you know what? Thank you. I love this shirt too. Similar to Nate. Seth almost wore the same damn shirt today. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce the illustrious panel of fellers. We've got Nathan. Oh no, I'm sorry, Extra Anchovies Milliner. How you doing, man?
Extra anchovies. Yeah. You know what that means.
Yeah, it's gonna be smelly. So
Lover boy.
you remember the first time you saw this one?
Huh?
Do you remember the first time you saw this one?
House of the Devil. I remember seeing it. Yeah, I liked it. It's not like one of those movies that I remember where I was when it happened. It's not like John F. Kennedy was shot. But yeah, I like this movie. And I'm glad we did it because I hadn't watched it. I've seen it maybe twice before this episode. So.
Yeah, it's one that I revisit every year since it was one of those movies I saw, and when I saw it, I was like, I need to own this movie. So I did. I found it on DVD. Actually, I found it at Family Video for $1.99. I was like, cool. Nobody else wants this. I'll take it. And then I found the Blu-ray at some other place, and it's like a half price type store, but it had no case. But it was just the disc for 99 cents. So I'm in, And it's available on Peacock if you haven't seen it. So Seth is here also. Seth T. Miller. What about you? I don't know that we've talked about this one too much.
I'm sorry, what's your question?
I don't even have one.
Wow.
Yeah. What'd you think? Your first reactions when you saw this one? This one's more recent for you, isn't it?
Yeah, so I saw a few weeks ago after seeing X.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was. Wow. It was a nice Saturday. The weather was fairly decent. Yeah, no, because I remember I think you guys have mentioned this before, and I think especially Keith has been wanting to talk about Ty West. And after I saw X, I really liked X, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna check out one of his other movies. And so that was the first one that I found, and I enjoyed it. I think it's good. It made me want to eat pizza.
Yeah.
Like,
badly. Like
bad pizza.
Yeah, bad pizza.
Eclipse pizza.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
apparently we're playing through my Bluetooth speaker out there in the living room. So let me turn the Bluetooth on. All right, sorry about that. I wanted to switch things around because like you're not in the middle. Seth, move over to your left a little bit. Oh, the other way. This is stupid. Like that live thing on Facebook is like right in the middle of our faces. Unless you turn your phone. If you're watching on your phone, turn it, or go to YouTube and watch because we need views there, right? Never heard of this. Not available on Peacock in the UK. Man, it's worth a buy. I think for me it's a definite own. Seth, did you end up buying it?
It's on Amazon Prime too.
Oh, there you go.
On Shudder or whatever. And Joe Bob Briggs' episode
That's
still
right. He did do it
on there too on Shudder.
Sean, here's my question for you though. It's a slow burn. It takes a little bit of time, but it's shot very well. Matter of fact, I wanted to pull up one of my favorite shots from the movie, which I shared on the Horror Syndicate's Facebook page, which is this one. I just love the silhouette, and I love Jocelyn Donahue. So sorry, but it's a beautifully shot movie. So let's get into it. Nate, for first thing before we get into it, you've got some reviews for us, right? Something.
I do, yeah. We've been doing a couple of Amazon reviews on here, 1-star reviews, so we can hear how shitty the movie is before we talk about it and tell you they're wrong. A lot of reviews. I mean, let's start out this way. All right, we talk about negative reviews, but almost every movie I've done, the negative reviews are usually like 1%, 2%, 3% of the overall reviews. So it's not a lot of people. It's on this movie, the 1-star reviews make up 1% of the reviews on the movie. The 2 stars, like 2% of the overall reviews. So these are very these people don't really count. If you only got 1 or 2% of people that don't like your movie, you're doing pretty fucking good. Of course, as a filmmaker, that's who you pay attention to. Is the 1% or 2% who hate you. But a lot of them were writing these books of why the movie's terrible, which I said, I can't read all those on the show, but at least they're putting an effort into explaining why they think it sucks when most people just say it sucks, So applaud to you guys for actually like putting thought and effort into your shitting on the film.
Should I hire them to write for the Horror Syndicate?
It should. And they weren't all off. I mean, really, this movie, it comes down to the division of some people like slow burn movies, some people despise them.
I love them.
Some people need to be hit. Some people are like, no, I like to be completely enveloped into the film and in the atmosphere and go along with it and let that tension build, because that's what this movie really is. It's a tension, dread-filled movie where we know shit's gonna happen. Movie's called House of the fucking Devil, right? So we know it's the house of the fucking devil. It's not like, oh, surprise, the devil's here. Which kind of goes into the first 1-star review. It says, nothing happens for an hour and 15 minutes. Then what you expected to happen from the title happens. Ty West wastes your time. So, hey, we watch revenge movies. We know there's going to be a revenge at the end. We know. We watch a superhero movie. We know the superhero's going to beat the bad guy at the end. Come on, don't just because he gave you a house with the devil in it doesn't mean that you wasted your time. Be very afraid of watching this movie. All of the negative reviews are correct. Nothing eerie or suspenseful. Even the climax of the film is like a 20-second scene. All right. The only thing scary was that we actually sat through this movie. If it hadn't been a guys' night movie, we agreed none of us would have finished it. The unfortunate part is I made my friends watch this, and they agreed I can't pick movies anymore. It did that. It did that much damage.
Oh, come on.
Not good at all. This movie is terribly slow with no payoff. I disliked it so much that I am giving it poor reviews at as many websites as possible. That's how bad it is. I would not call this an homage to the 70s splatter movies. Well, it's not a fucking splatter movie. I would say it's overhyped and deserves to be a $1 bin at Walmart at best. Let's see.
Better than that.
Snoozeville. This is absolutely the worst horror movie of all time. Slow moving. Dude, there's so many worst movies of all time. How's that possible?
I could probably name 10 of them right now. Jesus.
I thought last week's show that movie was the worst movie of all time. Slow moving, as some say. How about Dead? Complete waste of my time watching this crap. If I could rate it less than 1 star, I would. Do not waste your time or money. Burn the buck in the backyard. It'll be over quicker. All right, let's see. Yeah, Michael J. Fox. This is cruel. Oh, Michael J. Fox not credited for camera work. Stop shaking the camera and making loud noises. Good Lord, that's just lowest common denominator horror tricks. The story was almost worth watching. The girls were cute. The ritual would have been cool if filmed correctly. Mildly interesting, not that scary. All right, first of all, most of the movie is static.
Yeah.
It's not, the camera's not moving that much. I don't know what this person's talking about.
There's a couple scenes I know what he's talking about. There are a couple scenes
at the end.
Yeah,
at
right.
The end, and then there's a couple panning and following her as she moves, as he's focusing on things that he wants you to look at, because that's proper fucking filmmaking, guy. Okay.
Right.
House of the Last 20 Minutes.
That's a good title.
These are the titles I like. Yeah, House of the Last 20 Minutes. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am a super fan of horror movies. Plus, all of these guys are, as a horror fan, as a horror nut, as a horror aficionado, as a...
I'm going to start putting all my Facebook posts like that. As a horror fan, I really like the St. Louis Cardinals.
I'm going to pass on. All right, this is another title that's funny. House of Please Something Happen.
Oh, my God.
Here's one. Beelzeblah. House of Ambling Around. It was okay, but I prefer Rosemary's Baby. It's Rosemary's Baby, man. It's Roman Polanski. How can you compare an independent little horror film to Rosemary's fucking Baby, one of the greatest films of the 1960s? It's like, that's no Godfather. Okay, that's what I got as far as reviews.
Man, people are harsh about that movie, man. It's
a lot of people saying he was
awful
filmmaking, that he's terrible, and it's just shitty. I will say that one review I could give is Joe Bob Briggs on he's on. If you want to watch Joe Bob, watch it and talk about it on his show Last Drive-In on Shudder. He said that a lot of people call this movie an 80s homage. He goes, but I don't think that's it at all, because I've seen a lot of 80s homage movies and they all sucked. He said this is a well-written horror film, and I can't remember what else he said, but he was basically, we see a lot of, and some people were talking about it, like this movie, while it's set, it's just a well-shot movie set in the 80s. It's not an 80s homage movie. In fact, it feels more like films of the 1970s and even late 60s than it does. It just happens to take place in 1983.
Well, and you mentioned that at the beginning of the movie. It's the satanic panic type stuff going on in the 70s.
Which I thought we should get into the satanic panic stuff as well, what inspires this. But yeah, the movie feels far more like, first of all, Ty, like a lot of the filmmakers we discuss on here, is a huge Shining fan. So Shining is a big influence. The Exorcist, Rosemary's Baby, the Amityville Horror. I felt a little Changeling a little bit in there. I noticed maybe even Phantasm at little moments. Some of the music kind of reminded me of Phantasm a bit. So Ty was definitely making more of a 70s aesthetic movie, but at the same time, this is early 80s. The early 80s were not too different from the 70s, carried over. This Stranger Things bullshit that we all say is not what 80s movies were. And, we talk about 80s, a lot of browns. Like, in fact, Ty West said he gets really put off the movie. People call this an 80s throwback. He says that, he goes, would you call Zodiac an homage to the 70s? He goes, no, it's a movie that takes place in the 70s. A House of the Devil is a period piece, so everything takes place in the 80s, but it's not kitschy. It's Video Killed the Radio Star 80s. It's brown, feathered hair, wood paneling 80s. And that's the truth. Like, the 80s was very brown, and that's something I brought into my 80s period film. It's not neon and
lots of paneling. I know that.
Yeah. And if you're in a small town, people still dress like it was the 1970s. People still wearing blue jeans and baseball tees and Chuck Taylors and flannel and shit like that. So it wasn't all what you see in a Debbie Gibson video. Okay, that wasn't the 80s.
That's even later anyway.
Yeah. And the later 80s, it got a little more colorful, a little more
pizzazz.
About the mall, the shopping mall 80s.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things. That's one of the things that attracted to me this movie is how well they pulled it off. I was talking to a friend of mine, Rachel, the other day, and she said that this movie, like, she thought it was from the 1980s, straight up. She's like, yeah, I didn't know about this one until later on. I was like, well, it came out in like 2009, so you wouldn't have known about it when you were a kid. So, but yeah, I think it does pull that off really well. I hate this that when people, like you were saying, call it a throwback, because it's not a throwback. It's
Well,
straight up just a period piece.
Well, I noticed like a lot of what Joe Bob's talking about is a lot of indie people who want to make an 80s throwback homage movie. They tend to pay attention to what made 80s exploitation movies, like the bad habits of those movies, the things that were poorly done that we recognize as bad B 80s exploitation horror movies. And he's not doing that. He's far more channeling Polanski and not to say he's Kubrick or Polanski, but that's more what this movie feels like rather than comparing it to Friday the 13th or Sleepaway Camp or something like that. It's a movie that's far more interested in its atmosphere and the geography and the slow burning building of suspense, very dreadful film. Like the shot you just shared. I mean, that's a shot out of fucking Psycho or something. I mean, it's not
pull it back up
about the blood. Yeah, that's classic, Italian horror in some ways, like early. I mean, it's very noir, Argento, yeah. But De Palma, it's he's definitely pulling inspiration from those filmmakers rather than the splatter guys of the 80s and the exploitation people of the 80s.
I want to go back to that for who the fuck thought this was a splatter movie? Like, this is far from a splatter movie. And I believe like Ty West has a style. Like, you can see it in Innkeepers. The only one that I don't, The Sacrament's the only one I think that you can't really see his style as much. It's a different kind of movie. But like, I don't know, Seth, you both have seen X, right?
No, X, he's embracing the slasher thing in that, but he's still got a little bit of this part of him in there, little bit of the classier 70s filmmaker at play. He's pulling more from Texas Chainsaw Massacre probably than any 80s slasher movie in X. Yeah.
I've heard that about that. I still haven't seen it. Yeah, people's thoughts aside, like this comment says that they did a great job. Yeah, and she's right actually, because they're like, we see that in a lot of indie horror. Like, I don't want to get down on like Justin Seaman, who made The Barn, but he fell for those tropes, and Justin Russell, who made The Sleeper, same thing. And this was really well made to be a period piece, where those were made with the tropes, I guess.
Well, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's the thing. Like, those guys set out to make that movie. They were saying, hey, this is an homage. We're doing everything we can to make this look like it came from that period, and it's that type of movie. But he, like he said, you would call Zodiac a homage to 70s film, even though it does feel like, Sidney Lumet's movies and things like that. It's still a David Fincher movie, and it's a David Fincher movie set in the 1960s, late 60s
film.
So I think there's like I said, there's nothing wrong with making those movies, but that seems like to be the thing everyone thinks when they hear, "Hey, I'm making a movie that's set in the 80s." Oh, this is going to be one of those movies.
Yeah,
and House of the Devil isn't that movie.
And I was gonna say, I think people do like that, even though I think the 80s retro shit has kind of run its course at this point. Maybe, I don't know, because like I don't know, but like I do think, because I've seen crowdfunding campaigns for independent horror movies that's set in the 80s, and people go ape shit for it. So
they love it, yeah. But I mean, it's an easy way. It's an easy way to get your money, man. You say, hey, we're gonna make this in the 80s. It's a slasher film. It's gonna be like this. We've got Rocky Gray doing a synth score, because I know Rocky talks about it. He's like 90% of the people come to me want that new wave, that synth wave stuff.
I mean, he's good,
and he's great. He's fucking great at it. So a lot of the time, his music is the best part of the movie. Really, pretty much what he's done. But it's like it's kind of at that point where it's like, enough, guys. We've seen it. You've been doing it for 15 years now.
Yeah, let's do the 90s now. Can we do the 90s?
No, let's not do that.
It's going in that cycle though, because there was a lot of shit that was like kind of like 70s-ish a few years ago, then they cycled into the 80s, and I think the 90s are coming back around, man. Get your fucking, lime green or whatever hoodie out and Trapper Keepers and shit.
And I just made a movie set in 1986, but I made it in 1986 because that's a lot of the stories that are in there I kind of experienced or was told as ghost stories and all that in the 80s. So I wanted to make a film about the time when I was scared of the dark, when I was scared of, that the time of watching Children of the Corn and Cujo and Pet Sematary and The Shining and Carrie and all that, like that period of film or life, because I wanted that. And one thing about the 80s, what I wanted to was, as far as looks, it's about timelessness with me. Like, it's rural Kentucky in 1986, which could look like rural Kentucky in 1976 or 1966. Like, the costumes are like timeless. Everything's the way things looked over a course of 20 years instead of just 5 years in the 80s kind of thing. So if it looked like no shoulder pads, no punk rock, all that stuff. Actually, there's one character who's out of that element. Kevin Roach plays a character who's not from that town, so he's the one who's wearing the leather punk kind of jacket and the little heavy metal punk thing going on. But other than that, everyone else looks like they could be in, Badlands or or Tender Mercies or something. Yeah.
Can't wait to see that movie. So let's talk about the movie itself.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah. Like, for anybody who let me get the spoiler sign up. Spoiler. Just in case.
Spoiler, there's a house, there's a devil in the house.
It's 13 years, but still. Yeah, so the movie, like, it's about a college girl who needs money, trying to get her own apartment. She's basically had enough with her roommate, who's a sex maniac apparently, and doesn't care about school, messy, all that shit. And
Greta Gerwig mentions that she's a germaphobe. She goes, "I'm not a germaphobe."
Yeah, she does. That's right.
So he purposely shows a low to the ground shot of how dirty the floor is, with clothes and garbage everywhere. Like, he does it twice when she enters her room. So he really send it
shows
home.
Her half of the room, and you can see her half of the room and the other.
Yeah. So he makes a point to show how filthy this girl is, and that's why she's desperate to get the fuck out of there.
Desperate and needed money, so she was trying to find a way to make money because she only had like $80 in her checking account, and she needed $300 to move in. And that was a nice looking apartment. Dee Wallace, I mean, she showed it off, man. One of the nice little cameos in the movie, Dee Wallace from Cujo and so many horror movies. What's that one with the werewolf, Seth?
It escapes me. I can't think of it.
The hills have eyes.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's pretty much how the movie starts and why she takes this babysitting gig, and it's super weird the way it works out. Like that was like one of the first things that caught my whenever she used the payphone. There was payphones in this movie. If you don't know what a payphone is, you're way too young. But she calls the number from a payphone and they call her right back. Did they have Star 69 back then? Like, they didn't have like
no, not 93. Satan's Help.
Yeah. But like, he calls her back from the payphone, and it's slow. I get that, because there's a whole scene of her waiting outside the student building or whatever, and she's just waiting, and but like, I don't know, it still builds things up for what's getting ready to happen. The whole movie's building to a certain point.
She doesn't get to the house for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So it is very much the 30 minutes of her wanting the house, roommate sucks, babysitting job, should I go, should I not, wait for the guy, all that. It's a lot of time to get to that house before things start happening. But I think everything's necessary, and that we understand her desperation and why she needs it. We meet her friend. We see how she's got a good friend there. We got to establish that relationship. But yeah, it moves slow. But I don't know. I just have never been. I guess it's just different viewers because I've never watched a slow moving movie and go, God, this is slow. Like I've never sit there thinking, why are we seeing? And that's another thing. Like this week I had a discussion about the Batman and people talking about how that movie was too long and they could
That's
have
my
cut
favorite
40
David
minutes
Fincher
out.
movie.
They could have. There's people saying they could have cut 40 minutes out. I'm like, no, what could you cut out? And they're like, well, stuff like him riding around on his motorcycle, listening to Nirvana, all that stuff. I'm like, well, no, that's like character. Those are atmosphere. Those are like showing you the city, that's showing you all this stuff. I said, but we've seen movies where, I mean, how long does Laurie Strode walk around Haddonfield in Halloween? I mean, that shit matters. We saw Ellen Burstyn walking around in Exorcist, and those are some creep. Even though you say, oh, there's nothing happening, just the wind blowing, and the nuns and the church. I mean, there's something ominous about it. And same with this movie.
It sets the atmosphere.
Yeah, like in this movie, she does a lot of walking around. I mean, she looks at the entire fucking house, and opening doors, looking, turn the lights on, turn it off, and people are like, why? Because first of all, he's showing you geography. Plus, it's just tension. There might be something in there. We don't know. I mean, that's the thing. Or there may be a clue, or maybe something that, because she's always snooping around, she does eventually find something.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole hair in the bathtub, the photographs in the closet.
Yep.
I mean, he's kind of establishing that she's kind of a snoop a little bit in this house. That she's looking everywhere. And part of it is also because she's kind of paranoid and wanting to know where noises are coming from. And because that's what you do when you're in an old dark house by yourself. It's like your mind starts playing tricks on you and you start getting a little creeped out because it is creepy. I mean, even it's not your house. Anyone's been in like a place that's not theirs at night and it's a dark kind of place and houses make noises. Old houses make tons of noises.
Yeah.
And they can really get to you.
Yeah. And I mean, and she was supposed to be there until was it midnight or after midnight? So she's going to be there for a few hours. Like, what the fuck? She had
4 hours or so.
Right, and it's like what she could have played pool. She ordered that pizza, which
she's kind of restless. She starts something and she stops. Like she starts to study, and then she like gets bored, tries the TV and watches a bit of the news and turns it off. Puts on her headphones. I mean, she kind of. And again, because of being anxiety. I mean, if she's, if she is like a germaphobe, then she's probably got some kind of OCD or she's probably got some kind of anxiety issues going. And that's part of why she needs to get out of that room with that girl, because that girl just creates all this anxiety for her.
Don't shut us down for that. That's a text tone. I got a text from Jared, by the way, guys. I don't think he's going to make it. Can you see me? No. I cannot see you.
It's right behind you, Dre.
Seth, give us some insight on this one. Let's hear your point of view on this one. Like some of the things you enjoy before we keep breaking this bad boy down.
Well, just a couple things going back to what you guys were talking about. Like I mean, all of us, we grew up with a lot of movies that were patient, that, that were able to take their time and they were building suspense. I mean, even in some of the big action movies and stuff that we like Die Hard, Predator, Aliens, like those they take a while before the action gets going in those as well. Mm-hmm. But, like just as things have gone over time, like everything is just so instant now and attention spans are just out the door. But for me personally, I like these slow burn movies. I miss the old style of filmmaking.
Yeah.
So for me, this was kind of like right up my alley with that. I don't need something to be quick, nonstop from beginning to end, just, bam, 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 violence. Like I appreciate a movie where a filmmaker can really build up the suspense and the atmosphere and the tension. So I liked it for that. And then, as far as like her snooping around, I mean, there's certain things that you have to do in storytelling to move things along. You know, if she just sat on the couch
Right.
and did her homework the whole movie, you wouldn't have had any of the suspense. She wouldn't have been clued in, you know, like little clues here and there, like, oh, I thought she said the fur coats were in the basement, or, you know, or
Oh yeah.
finding the pictures and putting two together about the car that was in the driveway and they pulled in, stuff like that. So like stuff like that has to happen in order for a story to fully work. You know what I mean? So like to me, none of that's really like a complaint or nitpick. You know, she was, like you guys said, she was restless and she was looking around the house, and that's how things progressively started happening. So I think it's a well-made movie. It's well structured and everything.
Yeah, there's so much of setups and payoffs and things. And yeah, and you know, going back to seeing the house, like I'm like, this is a kind of, I made 2 shorts for the Volumes of Blood movies that were kind of like this. Encyclopedia Satanica and Fear for Sinners here. The first movie was in a library. The second one was in a big Victorian type house and featured a woman by herself. And when you do that, like that location is the co-star of that actress. Like, and that's what this movie is. That house is the co-star, is a character, and you have to make that house a character, just like the hotel in the Shining. When I had that library, I was like, I got this giant fucking, because most of the stories were contained. I said, dude, I got this giant library and one actress. I'm going to move her around that place. I want to show this library, because that's what's scary when you're in a library at night by yourself on Halloween night, you know. And if you leave, there's going to be shit, because I mean, especially a library, because there's corners everywhere.
Yeah.
That just builds suspense. So in this house, I mean, this house is, there's corners, there's rooms everywhere. Yeah. And we enter rooms that are dark, and we don't know what's going to happen when she opens that door or what she's going to discover. So you have to be patient. And sometimes the mundane is what's scary, because it's the Hitchcock thing. People know there's something there. There's something coming, and they're waiting for that moment. And if it doesn't happen, it keeps on the tension. It keeps on the tension. So, you know, yeah, you show them doing boring shit, like doing their homework, turning the TV on, ordering a pizza, finding nothing, a lot of false leads, things like that, because it's just building the tension. Like one of the best parts about Sean Cunningham's first Friday the 13th movie is the part where Alice is completely oblivious that the audience knows everything, but she's just like back at all these people have been killed. The audience knows this, and she's just like, whatever, making coffee, all this shit. Like, that's the tensest part of that whole movie, is Alice just going on normal mundane shit, and that stuff really works. And that's what Ty does for like 80 minutes of this movie.
Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite things about the whole movie, though, is the building up and the tension, the building of the tension. Yeah. I mean, that's like, he does such a good job with that, with her. Again, Jocelyn Donahue does a great job in that role. You know,
and you have to have a good actress to do that, to carry that film and make you want to watch her and follow her.
And going back to like what you're saying about Friday the 13th, where the audience knows what the character doesn't. That was one of the things I really liked about this movie too. Is I think I haven't watched it since I watched it a couple weeks ago, but like I think right before she's really starting to piece everything together, there was like that sort of reveal of the family on the other side of the door. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a really great moment. And she didn't see it, so she was oblivious to it, but that was like the first clue to the audience, like
the one door she couldn't get open. She's
like,
opened every door, every drawer, and
it just adds to the suspiciousness of Tom Noonan and his wife there, you know.
And there's so much of giving away of Tom Noonan, where the pizza thing, he repeats himself continuously about the pizza, and it's partly because it's like, okay, it's probably because part of it is part of his spiel, his script that he's going off of, but also they need her to order the pizza. Like, you have to get the pizza because that's how they're going to drug her. So he mentions it even as he's walking out the door, I believe. Pizza. So like, so you're watching like, why does he keep mentioning fucking pizza? But he makes it. It's written, and Tom stumbles on it like he's just got a bad memory. Oh, I already said that already. I'm sorry, but it's really intentional.
Yeah, and God, how well did he play that part?
Well, he's a fucking brilliant guy.
Yeah, he really
Tom Noonan. I've always liked him. I've gotten to meet him, and like out of all the Monster Squad people, like he was most intense, and he was a little most intimidating. Of course, he's like 3 inches taller than me, but
is he really?
He's like 6'5".
Holy shit!
But he's a filmmaker himself. He's a writer. I was reading a little bit about him today. He actually didn't start acting until he's 27 years old. He was a basketball player, and he said playing basketball was what prepared him for that, because when you're playing sports, you have to perform in front of people and satisfy them and get them on your side and thing. Well, like, you get reactions out of them. It's like it's the same way with actors. When you get up on stage and people laugh or they cry or they whatever, it feeds you. And so, athletes can feed off the crowd, especially in a basketball game. If the crowd is popping when you're getting a shot or whatever, it just elevates your energy. And the audience is probably closer to you in basketball than almost any other sport. Football, they're way out there, and baseball, but in basketball, they're right there next to you on the court. Really, so you can really feel off that energy. So he said that kind of prepared him. But I think his first play was or I don't know if it was his first, but one of his first. He did a Sam Shepard. So this guy, he was working with a lot of great people, and he's just really intense. And going from Manhunter and a lot of other things he's done.
RoboCop 2.
RoboCop 2. What's the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he played probably one of the most interesting villains in the movie? The
Last Action Hero.
Action Hero. Yeah. And of course, playing Frankenstein's monster, man. It's like you might as well be playing Hamlet in that movie. He was putting a lot of pathos into that performance.
Oh, Gus. Yeah. He was really good in this. I mean, it wasn't a big role for him. It was only in a couple of scenes, but man, he played the shit out of that role. And I love that scene where he's talking to her and they're like bargaining over the money, because he's offering her more money and everything. And you get the feeling that like she's not going to get that money anyway, but like so you can give her whatever. But when the pizza does show up and she eats it, did you guys think like, damn, that's why he kept telling her about that pizza?
Yeah,
because she took one bite and that was about it, and then she spit it out and drank her little water.
And you get a lot of parallels in that. Greta Gerwig's eating pizza when they hang out at the pizza place, and she said, "Oh, the pizza's bad today." And
oh yeah,
what if? And this may be a big what if. I didn't think about this just now. And he says, "Oh, the pizza's bad today." What if AJ Bowen had killed the people who worked at the what if he killed the people at the pizza place and he was making the pizzas that day and he sucks at it or something? Like, it's already like preordained. I don't know. I guess she hasn't really gotten the job yet from him yet, but there's the whole mention of like another girl.
Yeah. What do you think happened with that?
Didn't work out. Well, my thing is like, maybe because they have to have this happen on the eclipse day.
Right.
So it's dependent on the day. So that's probably why he stood her up, because he didn't need her that day. But there's parallels of like, even Dee Wallace, when she's showing her the apartment or the house, says there was another girl and I didn't trust her or I didn't like her or something. So there's like these parallels of there was another girl and she was rejected, not only for the babysitting job, but for the house she wants to rent. There's little things like that.
Totally unreliable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of took it too, like the flyer that was up for the babysitter, that was from the actual family, and those people they took the. I'll have to watch it again to see if one of those little things that you could rip off was already missing. But
there were a couple missing already. Yeah.
Yeah, that they took one, and that's why he said that he was busy or whatever, like he made up a story about another girl because they were killing the family at the time. That's kind of what I took away from it. But.
Well, although he did talk to her before that, and he was going
on
to
the
pick her
phone.
up. So
Right, because
it could be
she
another
called
girl.
the house number,
Yeah.
and he answered, and he wasn't prepared, maybe for.
I mean, I know they needed the house itself because, I guess it was the perfect spot for the eclipse. He even said that, like, y'all are in the perfect spot for this, and like an
Mm.
astronomer's dream location. So that was there was a little things like that. Like I did think like that house doesn't look like a young family lives there. It looks like the old couple lives there. There's a little probably that location existed. I don't know how much dress setting they had to do, but um, I mean it was I think almost $1 million budget, so I'm sure they did do a lot of art direction as well. But because it's really just a couple locations, and a very
Yeah.
small cast.
Yeah.
Um,
Like 5 people.
yeah.
6.
But yeah, there's a lot of good filmmaking there, and a good cast all around. Greta Gerwig, I'm just a big fan of. This was just maybe the first thing I saw her in, but I, saw her in Greenberg shortly after that with the Ben Stiller movie, and really loved her in like Frances Ha and Maggie's Plan and 20th Century Women. But she made Lady Bird. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. She directed that, and and that's what's really interesting about this film is there's so many of these. You mentioned you want to do your next week, which of course Ty is in,
Yeah.
and a lot of those people like the Duplass brothers. That's who Greta was working with, and then a lot of the people that they were working with, and I can't remember Noah Blom, but I can't remember his last name, Blombaum or whatever. He the mumblecore people, which Greta comes from, and a lot of the people in Your Next come from, and AJ Bowen and all that. Like they were all in these movies, and even like Lena Dunham. Lena Dunham does the 911 voice in this movie. She's really good friends with Ty West.
Really?
Yeah. So there's a lot of these indie mumblecore people who are involved in that little troupe of Ty and Greta and
Adam Wingard
and Noah and the Duplass brothers. Baghead, I think, was maybe the first movie I saw Greta in. Have you seen Baghead? It's kind of a horror movie. It's her and the Duplass brothers, and they're like, I think they're in a cabin. They're gonna write a movie about a horror movie, and they come up with a horror character who wears a bag over their head, like a brown paper bag with the holes cut out. And then someone actually shows up in a brown paper bag and they think it's like a paranoid thing, like a thing, like who was it? Who was wearing the bag, over their head? Like turns into a horror movie. These are the guys that did the Duplass brothers did. Mark did the Creep movies.
Those are good.
Yeah, and he did what was that one? Safety Not Guaranteed, the comedy. So there are all these mumblecore darlings, indie darling people. So it didn't shock me that when I saw Lena Dunham's name in the credits. I think she may have been involved in. I was Googling to see it. She was like on set during Innkeepers as well, and I think she has a part in Innkeepers.
Lena Dunham?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They're about the same age, her and Ty. I listened to an interview. I heard an interview with her, and she was talking about it's shocking that you made this movie because you're actually more of a '90s kid. Because I think he was born in like.
He's my age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, but I remember the '80s and all that. Which I guess we could talk about the Satanic Panic stuff that inspired this, because that really, he said that's what he remembers of the '80s, and. I totally remember the Satanic Panic of the 1980s and all the fears of Satan worshipers. And a lot of that came from, it was kind of in the 70s, the Manson cult family, and then Exorcist and The Omen and Amityville and all that. But actually what really spawned it was there was a book in Canada in 1980 called Michelle Remembers, about this woman named Michelle Witt Smith, who was under psychiatric care and came out and started having these memories or repressed memories of being a victim of a satanic ritual. And that spawned basically the McMartin trial, of course, which Nightmare on Elm Street changed the whole molestation thing. It was a child daycare center that was accused of child molestation, and they thought that they were a cult and they were into Satanists. And so all this like urban legends of Satanists were out to abduct your children and eat them or kill them in satanic rituals or molest them, and all this started happening. Nothing was ever supported. The FBI and everyone has come out and said there is no evidence of any satanic cults in America, but it was like this way of Americans dealing with child abuse and sexual abuse and molestation. Of course, you go to the extreme. We're seeing it now, like seeing all the fucking liberals eat babies and shit. You know, it's like all this stuff. And the 80s were extremely conservative. I mean, it was the era of Ronald Reagan, right? So it was all about moral value and the nuclear family, and so, oh well, there's children being abducted and killed and murdered and molested. It must be satanic. It must be Satanists. It must be the devil. You know, you're talking about very Christian, conservative America at that time. So they were afraid. You know, and then you had Richard Ramirez, and they started attacking everything. Looks like they did video games now. They were attacking Dungeons and Dragons. They were attacking heavy metal music of the time. So, you know, of course, it's all godless people, right? That are coming for our children. So, but I remember all of that, like, because, you know, you had Adam Walsh kidnapped in like 1978 or so, and that really put a lot of panic in. You had, you know, John Wayne Gacy and Ted Bundy. All these serial killers were really operating in the late 70s, early 80s. That's when they were caught. The Atlanta child killer, I think, was in the 80s.
You're talking about the one that was it the 80s or the 70s?
I believe it's caught in the 80s. The Atlanta. A lot of them were caught in the 80s. I mean, they were operating in the 70s, but there was a lot of that shit going down at that time. And it just, you know, when people hear that, they don't know how to cope with it. So they just say, well, it must be Satan. It must be devil worshippers. And these people can't be normal people. They must be under Satan's influence, you know. And I remember, like, I talked about Waverly Hills Sanatorium, hearing there were satanic rituals and shit up there when that closed. And
the gates of hell here. There's those supposedly satanic rituals there too.
All part of that satanic panic thing of the 80s that Ty is playing with on this. That's one of my only arguments. And of course, it wouldn't have worked with it. Was this is a satanic cult who is obviously working with Satan, because it does work. It does get her pregnant by the devil by the end of the movie. But it's like, what? It's just 3 people.
Right.
It's the cult. It's one family that's in charge of Satan. 3
people and a witch.
It's 3 people and a witch, and they're like a family. So it's like a husband and wife and their son, and that's the cult, and that's the group of Satanists who are put in charge of this important thing of bringing Satan into the world. Like, Satan doesn't have anybody else's number or anything. But again, you know, if she had a whole cult there, you know, she wouldn't have gotten out, and it wouldn't have played out the way it did.
You got to keep the numbers low. You got to keep the numbers low just in case something goes awry.
Yeah. Don't shh, be quiet. Somebody's gonna talk.
Yeah.
I mean, there could have been more of them, and they were just the ones trusted to do that, you know.
Yeah.
An
old guy with a cane and Mary Warnoff.
Yeah, I can't believe how much older she is than Tom Noonan. Also, I looked that up after the fact. I was like, how old is she anyway? She
was part of like Andy Warhol's troupe.
Yeah.
And Roger Corman and all that. Like, I remember seeing her like Death Race 2000 and Night of the Comet and stuff like that. Rock and Roll High School, which I think it's Roger Corman's birthday today, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. Is it either today or yesterday? Is it today? He's like 96 years old.
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
Got to meet him. That was cool. Yeah, I got to meet him about 10 years ago. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, 90. Damn, he's 96 years old.
But he was making movies back in the 50s, if I remember right, like Attack of the Crab Monsters and Bucket of Blood and Little Horse, Little Shop of Horrors, and
Did you ever see Frankenstein Unbound?
yeah, I haven't seen it since it came out. It was like what, late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, 91, 92, I think. That was
Yeah.
like my introduction to Corman. And I think that was one of his. I think he came back to direct for that, and he had been
He's
away
been,
for a bit.
yeah, I think he's been directing again. Actually, I think he just
Has
directed
he?
something. I believe so.
Yeah, and then he's done a lot of good stuff.
He gave so many people their careers, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Scorsese did a Corman movie, and you know, so many. Coppola and all them.
1990.
Bogdanovich.
Frankenstein Unbound is 1990. I had to look it up. Yeah, I got a lot of Roger Corman Presents DVDs from like when DVDs first started coming out in the early 2000s and stuff like that. And
Well, the reason Scream Factory exists is because of when Jeff and Cliff did the Roger Corman movies with
Yeah.
Shout, and they were real successful. And they had went and said, "Hey, these are selling. There's a market for these B horror movies and exploitation movies, and we'd like to do a 80s horror." It's what it started out with. They wanted to do Terror Train and Funhouse and Halloween and all that, and Deadly Blessing.
I bought that, by the way. It still had the slipcover when I ordered from Amazon. It must not have sold very well because usually those go pretty fast. Gisette, did yours come with a slipcover?
Yeah.
Yes, I got that. And I was like, this is strange, like because I expected it not to have one because that was even your signature on it says 2012. So yeah, it's been 10 years and I guess they didn't sell very well.
They probably came out in 2013, but I would have drawn it in 2012.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we talked about that last week with Craven. It's one of his like unknown works, pretty much. Like not too many people, know about that movie or seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't seen it yet. I have they're all set up behind me. All the movies I bought. You can kind of see them right there on the two shelves that I bought recently. I was going to make a video for the Horror Syndicate on YouTube, which don't subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't like the post. Don't do anything like that.
We talk about that.
Don't share it either. Anyway,
we talk about that opening opening credits sequence. I just loved her walking out of the house all excited and smiling in that wide of the church and the house. Yeah, and the title pops up.
Yeah, how awesome is that?
And that music that sounds like moving in stereo by the Cars.
Is that the song? It sounds like it reminds me of Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
That's it. Yeah, that's the song.
Okay,
that's the song of Fast Times. It's the Cars moving in pictures. Yeah, it's just like that.
Yeah, I love this. When I saw this pop up on the screen the first time, I was like, yeah, I love this. This is I thought that was really cool.
We're getting that early '80s sounding pop music, which again, the early '80s was very, very different from what people think of the '80s. Just like the '60s, people think of the hippie thing, but that didn't happen till after Vietnam and the Beatles and all that.
This was mentioned earlier. She danced to a scene, one thing leads to another, and that was really cool too. Yeah, because it sets the time for sure.
Definitely that risky business moment. It was a fun moment, her dancing around the house, and I mean, I hadn't seen it in a long time, so I forgot. But she's up on the stairwell, and I'm like, she's gonna fucking knock something over. She does. Yeah. But that was a fun little. It's a tension breaker. It's a part that makes you smile, and then she finds that's when she discovers the, oh fuck, these people. What's going on? Because this is the family, and that car's still outside. So this family, where is this family at?
We should talk about the ultimate tension breaker. Everybody talks about how slow it is, and then the scene with
Greta Gerwig.
Yeah, that scene was amazing. Didn't expect that shit.
Well, at first I thought, well, why? Even she says, where'd you come from? Why are you why is this guy in the cemetery? And then I realized at the end where she's running away from Tom Noonan, the cemetery is right there by the house.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they run into the cemetery. So I thought, well, so AJ was probably heard her pull over there, or he was maybe the lookout or something. But his van was over there. But
like, you're not the babysitter? No, my friend. Boom. It's like, holy shit! You dusted her.
I saw someone said that kind of sets up. We see what damage that gun did to Greta, so we assume when she shoots herself at the end that's it. Like, but it's like, I guess Satan saved her or something, because even Warnoff says something like, "No matter what you do, like, you can't stop this," or something. When they're after she's killed AJ and they're upstairs fighting, and she takes her wig off. Which I guess that's where the hair is, is that what it is? Like her cutting the wig, or what do you think?
Was she cutting the wig? I guess that's what it was. I mean, that's gross, seeing a bunch of hair in a bathtub. I mean, it's like me after taking a shower, but still.
I kind of feel like maybe she was vain and she was trying to get the wig to look good, and
probably
because she does say something about the woman's beauty, a girl's beauty. Like, oh, I'm sure the guys are like a little bit of envy, a little bit of stuff that we see in X, right there.
Don't spoil it for me.
I'm not, but that we do see a little bit of that in there about the envy of youth, basically, and beauty, the importance of beauty and youth.
I wonder if that has a release date for Blu-ray yet. That's how I'm gonna have to see it. X Blu-ray, May 24th. Cool. So I'll see it for my birthday. Yay! And then we'll talk about it. How about that? The show after my birthday, we'll discuss X. All right. So, like, what else you got, Nate? You got some notes, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm looking at. Well, yeah, my name extra anchovies when she calls the pizza place, which I guess is AJ.
Is that AJ?
I'm pretty sure it's AJ.
I thought so too.
Saying extra anchovies, which is anyone remembers the Patrick Dempsey movie Loverboy?
Yeah.
You remember that movie where
I love that movie.
The whole code for "you want me to come over and give you some dick," basically. So you order extra anchovies on your pizza. Yeah, that's the I think I've covered all.
I didn't pick that up. I didn't think of that. I forgot. I haven't seen that movie in so long, though, because Can't Buy Me Love is available to watch on one of his other big movies. But The Loverboy is my preferred movie of his. That was a good one. God, I forgot all about that. Damn it, Nate. Now I gotta look that up.
Did you ever see Coupe de Ville with him and Daniel Stern and Ira Gross?
I don't think so.
And Alan Arkin, I think. Yeah, so it's a really good movie. It's set in the late 60s, I believe, or mid 60s, where Alan Arkin is their dad's three brothers, and they're all kind of estranged. And he wants them, and he's dying, and his last wish is to have them deliver his Coupe de Ville somewhere. So he has the three brothers drive it together. So Daniel Stern's the older brother, who's kind of the military disciplined one. Ira Gross is the middle, kind of sensitive brother, and Patrick Dempsey's the young greaser type, rebellion boy, and he doesn't get along with, of course, Daniel Stern, the older brother, military. But it's like this road movie with those three, and I remember liking it a lot.
I've never seen that one, but Loverboy is $10 on Amazon. I might buy it.
I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, but it was like, it's in the early 90s. It seemed like it was on all the goddamn time, and I fucking loved watching it all the time. Seth, did you ever see that one, Loverboy? Missing out, man.
Yep.
Stop watching basketball. Start watching Loverboy. It's on Tubi if you want to watch it.
I'm sure you saw Can't Buy Me Love. That was probably the more popular one.
That was the more popular one. That was fun too. That one was earlier too, I believe.
Yeah, that one came first.
Did it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one though. He was a nerd. That old
was it African ritual dance or what it was?
Oh yeah.
Was it like Seth Green playing his little brother?
Was it?
I think it's Seth Green. Maybe if somebody just looks like Seth Green.
It could be because he's about that age.
I think it was Seth Green.
1987. Let's see. Courtney Gaines, isn't it? Yeah, Seth Green.
Courtney Gaines was his buddy, his nerdy buddy.
Oh man, I want to have an old 80s comedy today now. Fuck.
What year did that come out?
87.
Okay, sounds about right.
Let's see if I can get Loverboy, and I'm gonna watch Can't Buy Me Love because I love those movies. I'm watching. We're gonna have myself a little 80s day. It's on Hulu. Can't Buy Me Love. Good stuff. Anyway, way off track. What else do you want to say about House of the Devil, other than the fact that I always want to say House by the Cemetery, which is a Lucio Fulci movie? Can you guys hear a train?
I hear a train, yeah. I hear a dog or something.
I'm going to close my window.
You got anything to add, Seth?
Not really. It's kind of going along with the flow of the convo, I guess.
We should have slowed down the podcast.
Yeah, right.
Suspense.
We're
going to do 10 minutes of us looking around our houses.
Yeah. I should have rewatched it, but
I can grab a knife and try to recreate that silhouette that she does that I love so much. That was a pain in the ass to find this picture too, by the way.
Well, there's that one where she's coming up the stairs with the silhouette and her shadow with the knife.
Yeah, I like the view and the knife is and this one too.
And we can mention that he shot it on 16mm film to get that grainy look, which I believe he probably shot X either on probably 16mm, I would imagine, to get the look he's got, or it could have been.
I wonder if that's something he does with everything. Like because the Innkeepers, it kind of has that same.
Wasn't the Innkeepers a little more sleeker looking, a little more clean looking?
It's been a while since I've seen that. Seth, have you seen the Innkeepers yet?
I haven't.
That's that one's like almost like a 40s movie, 50s movie, don't you think? Kind of like an old time ghost haunted house movie with almost like you could almost say that Pat and Sarah, is that her name? Paxton, is that
Sarah Paxton? Yeah.
That they're almost like Abbott and Costello, so they're a comedy duo.
Oh yeah, I can see that totally. Yeah.
I remember loving them. Like they were my favorite thing in the movie before all the horror shit really happened. But I said I could watch a TV show with Pat and Sarah in those roles, playing those friends.
He's in an episode of Grey's Anatomy that plays Tom Russell. I just looked him up. Yeah, I'm trying to see what they shot this on, but it doesn't say on stupid Wikipedia. I have to look deeper. I do suggest checking out Innkeepers, Seth. I think it's pretty good. Your girl Kelly McGillis is in it. Lena Dunham's in it too. Huh. Yeah,
Kelly McGillis. Kelly McGillis is a citizen, so you don't have to salute her.
Well, she takes my breath away. So
she takes my breath away.
This is about the same time that Stakeland was made too, so she looks exactly the same as she did the Stakeland, which is another movie that we probably should talk about at some. Have you ever seen that one, Nate?
Mm-hmm. I've seen both of them.
Yeah.
Or was there a third? I don't even know.
There's just the two, I believe.
Just two.
Yeah. Although you can kind of like.
Well, that guy. Jim's one of the most underrated directors around. It really kind of drives me nuts because I liked that. I loved Cold in July. I loved his Hap and Leonard TV series. He's a good filmmaker, and you don't see his name brought up very often.
What's his name?
Jim Minkle, right? Mickle,
I think.
Mickle.
I think he did Mulberry Street as well.
Yeah, he did Mulberry Street. Yeah. That was good.
Yeah.
Seems like he did another one I'm forgetting. But he did those two, like the Joe R. Lansdale's Cold in July and Hap and Leonard. And I think he did like two seasons of Hap and Leonard.
We Are What We Are.
We are. The remake of that, which is fucking excellent, which has the girl from Ozark on it. That's a great cannibal movie. Have y'all seen that? There's original, and he did the remake of it.
Well, I mean, Kelly McGillis is in it, so I definitely have to watch that.
Yeah, we are is fucking fantastic.
I feel like you've talked about this before at some point,
Yeah.
or maybe in the chat, maybe you said something about the movie. If it's streaming, I'll watch it. I can't just buy stuff. It's on Pluto TV, Tubi, and Vudu for free. It's free to watch. What we are. It's a cannibal movie.
Yeah, but not a gory super.
Oh, Ruth is in this. Ruth from Ozark.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was one of the first things I saw her in, was that movie. I know she was in Perks of Being a Wallflower. My daughter wanted to watch that again the other day, and we watched it. She was in that.
I think Ozark was the first thing I ever recall seeing her in. That show. All right. I think we've pretty much wrapped up talking about House of the Devil. Is there anything else we want to talk about with the movie?
No, I think we kind of covered it. I mean, again, because it is a slow burn, not a lot does happen, but for a good reason. So there's not a whole lot to discuss about it. We've got one character for most of the film that we're following, which, again, that relies on having a good actress in the role and good writing, good cinematography is very well done. The art direction. I mean, it's a good little movie to turn off the lights. It's not a party movie. It's a movie you want to sit down and turn the lights out and just be with her in that room and be in the house. And I love those films because those are the films that you become part of. You kind of, it's like The Shining. I feel like I'm at the Overlook Hotel when I watch The Shining. I love that feeling. I love when I'm watching The Descent, I'm in that cave.
Very immersive.
Or Alien, I'm on that ship with them. I like that. I don't need to be hit over the head every 5 minutes with an action scene or a blood scene. I'm totally fine with watching that doom build, like in The Witch or Hereditary or something like that, where or even Midsummer, thing like shit's coming, but when is it coming and how is it going to unfold, and
like The Wicker Man,
and how is it affecting these characters? The Exorcist is a slow burn,
Yeah, this movie is fantastic at building tension, and the way it's shot, you kind of you're like, well, something's going to happen at some point, and the build up too. When I think it kicks you right in the dick. So when it does start happening, yeah, he is.
The build up is my favorite thing about the movie.
Yeah, me too.
Honestly, the payoff, it's not, if the payoff is not that strong to me. That's the only thing I could say. It's good, but it's not enough to say, oh, this is a good movie. It's really everything that happens before that, for me personally, is the master stroke of the film, is the building up to it. So some people can say, well, that's a bad thing. The payoff should be elevated, should be extra exciting, which some people, I had Jackson, if you're watching, Jackson Monks is my friend's son, watched it for the first time the other night, and he just texted me, holy shit, that ending. So the ending got paid off for him. So
it paid off for me too. I love the
ending. It may have when I originally saw it, but when I watched it, I've watched it twice this week, and when I watch it, I just appreciate so much of everything that leads up to that moment where she wakes up tied to the floor.
Movie. That's the movie, It's really good. So let's do some final thoughts, and then we'll talk about what we're going to try to do next week. And we'll talk about a movie that I want to talk about, which is You're Next. If you've not seen You're Next, it's 100% worth your time. It's fucking awesome, and this woman here is very awesome. So check out You're Next. I'll find out where it's streaming, but let's do some final thoughts, Seth.
Well, Evil did not die tonight. There was no Michael Myers in it, so it sucked. Dumpster fire, too slow. Worst movie ever made. There was no Jason either, so what the fuck, in all seriousness, I thought it was a good movie. Like I said earlier, I like the slow burn movies. I like that old school style of filmmaking, so it was up my alley. I really enjoyed it, and it made me want to eat pizza.
You're not the only one, man. I want to eat some pizza too.
Yeah.
It scared me the first time. I was alone in the dark and on the edge of the scene. Yeah, that's the way to watch horror movies like this. You got to turn off your phone, turn off the lights, sit down and fucking grab your popcorn. I like mine with butter. Remember that scene? The damn news telecast. I like mine with butter.
I like
The
mine
guy's
with
face
butter.
like, shut up. What about you, Nate? Final thoughts on this one? I think you kind of already said it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think this was the first thing I saw of Ty's, and I saw, all right, this guy's got something. And I haven't.
Sure.
Yeah, so he's a filmmaker that he's not getting brought up with, Jordan and all them, but he belongs there. I think he's, first of all, he hasn't copied himself. This movie, Innkeepers, Sacrament, X, they're all four very different films. And he did the Western, which I need to see. I still haven't watched. Cabin Fever 2, I'm not going to count. I did see that, but he said that they took that away from him and recut it and re-edited it. It's not he wanted his name off of it. They wouldn't take his name off of it.
Did you see his segment in VHS? Second Honeymoon.
Which one did he do?
Second Honeymoon.
I have
a couple goes to a hotel and they're trying to reignite the flame. I guess they're like in Arizona or something like that, sightseeing or whatever, and they're recording everything. And apparently she's got a new person in her life.
I have to look at it again. The only ones I really remember was like the amateur night thing, and
of course, which made Siren after that.
Didn't that have the alien thing in that one?
It's like a succubus, I think.
I don't remember.
No, you mean the first VHS?
The first,
the second one.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the second one, all I really remember is Safe Haven. The
Safe Haven was amazing.
It was fucking incredible.
The one with the eye, too. Do you remember that where he had a camera in his eye to help him see? I think it was Adam Wingard played the part too. Yeah, that was kind of cool. I think VHS movies are underrated. I'm just gonna say.
I think I may have seen the Rooster. That was a Bat movie, right?
I've never seen that.
I think I did see that, but I don't remember it. And I think he did. Seems like Lena Dunham had mentioned him making a sort of movie that felt like Dogma or something. She said, so he made a comedy. He doesn't want to be defined as a horror guy because he wants to, or a genre guy because he wants to make other movies too. Maybe that's why. But he was like 28 when he made this movie. Still fairly young. I think he's impressive. I think he any young filmmaker who's got the balls to make a patient movie like that, hey, I gotta give it to him. I wish there were more films like that. Those are the ones that really speak to me and the ones that get me excited about. I just love atmosphere. I love when you make the location a character. I think it's important. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. I think we've said everything really.
Yeah, for me, I really like this movie from the get go, and it was one of those ones that made me buy it. By the way, this was just sitting on my desk. It's an autograph from Melinda Clark from Return of the Living Dead 3. She gave me two of them. She's a very weird woman. But anyway, I love this movie. I love that it's slow. It kind of like I feel like this almost sets the tone for the next decade of horror with movies like It Follows and The Witch and Midsommar. It's because it's before that, and we get a lot of movies like that. Even Innkeepers, his other movie. And I suggest seeing Innkeepers. So
I guess he was kind of going against the norm at that time because we were really coming out of the whole torture porn. I mean, we had Paranormal Activity around the same time, which is similar. That's a movie that's about patience. We also had Let the Right One In, which was a movie about patience and slow moving. And so there was kind of like that late 2000s, 2007, 2008, where the turn from exploitation was taking over to more, the Babadook, It Follows, Switch, Conjuring, that kind of thing.
There's a lot of them because like that last decade or so, we've seen some extremely well-made films, which I feel like the decade before that and the decade before that, we saw very few, where like filmmaking and cinematography became very more important than what we were getting before that. That's just an opinion after kind of thinking about it a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just an asshole. I don't know. I can't say McDonald's the right way.
I think it comes down to taste as well. Like I like all types of horror. Like I can appreciate it all.
Yeah.
My problem is when someone says there's only one type of horror. That's where I get like I give a lot of shit to Friday 13th and all that stuff, but I love those movies. I do. I love all of it.
They're fun.
I get fucking tired of people who think that's what horror is and that's all horror can be. So when it's like, if it's not Friday the 13th, it's not horror, it's shit, it's just a thriller. It's more of a thriller. It's more of a drama. No, it's fucking horror. Like it's like when they talk about The Witch and they talk about Babadook, they talk about Get Out. It's more of a drama. It's like, fuck you, dude. It doesn't have to be all the fucking time. Okay. It can be other things. So I love it all. I'll watch Critters and giggle my ass off. I'll fucking watch It Follows and be like, I love this. And that's really where it comes down to. I don't dislike B movies. I don't dislike cheap splatter movies. I'm a slasher kid. I grew up on the slashers. I love Friday and Halloween and Nightmare just as much as anybody. But it just bugs me that when good filmmakers come out and do a horror film, it's the closest I get to, when Friedkin or Kubrick or De Palma or Spielberg were doing a horror movie. It's the closest we're going to get. If David Fincher decided to make a straight horror film, the horror fans would probably reject him.
Probably
call it more of a thriller than anything.
But Brian De Palma made a straight horror movie, so
yeah, and even his thrillers can be defined. I mean, Blowout and Just to Kill should be be addressed as horror movies.
Dress to Kill, I think, is kind of seen as a horror movie in circles. It was in the Terror in the Isles documentary.
But Casualties of War should be considered a horror film. Pretty crazy.
I mean, based on what happens in that movie, I get that. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Seth, you're probably speaking for all three of us, and even Jared, who's not here with us. It's we love the genre completely, and there's so much good, and it's more than just Freddy. Although come on, I love Freddy. I mean, I think that's how we bonded, Nate. Wasn't it over Elm Street?
Maybe. I mean, I just remember being on your show and having fun, and then when you guys, I don't know. I know I started liking being on your show, and you invited me back because I love talking about horror, and I don't care what movie it is. If y'all pick out a splatter movie or a cannibal movie or whatever the fuck it is, I'm going to treat it with the same respect and
next week, Cannibal Ferox. Let's do it.
I would do it. Like I don't do that.
Next week's the anniversary show. I don't want to do that for that.
I don't hate. We talked about how I don't want to love Last House or Spit on Your Grave, but I do like those movies. I do think they're for what they are. I mean, really, you have to know what kind of movie they set out to make, and if they do it well, that's great, and that's really it. And so there are splatter movies and slasher movies and gore movies that are fucking fantastic. My favorites, as far as like gore, my favorites are when it's fun, when it's like Dead Alive or Evil Dead 2 or something where all the blood and gore is flying, and I get to kind of laugh with it instead of being gross. I don't like gross out movies. Is really what my thing is. I don't want to watch them and go, ugh. I feel like
give me an example.
I don't know. You just bought a body horror or shit like it's just kind of disgusting. Like where you're not. It's not funny.
Wait, what about The Fly? You like The
The,
Fly?
the Fly is
Fly
great,
horror.
but the Fly, it's just such a good movie all around. Like it's well made filmmaking. It's disgusting to watch, but it's not. I guess I don't get off on. I guess I'm tired of the torture shit now. I kind of like as I've gotten older, I just don't find that enjoyable to watch.
All right.
Like I got tired of the tie a guy to a chair and take a razor blade to him and it's
So
just
like Hostel.
yeah. But that's the thing. Like I love the Hostel movies when they came out, but I
First one.
think now I don't know if I want to see another Hostel movie. It just came with age, I guess. But at a time, super violent movies was what I was into. I was excited about violence in movies, in my 20s and early 30s. I really do think after becoming a father, I kind of like, I don't really want to see people in pain and suffering.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Being a father, both of you, Pet Cemetery, did that change the way you looked at that movie, like when Gage dies?
That movie bothered me before I was a father. I felt that even as a child, like the loss of that, and I think it's just the power of what Mary did with it.
Raw emotion in that scene too is very powerful.
Yeah.
So,
but movies like there are movies where, like, there's a movie with the kid who played John Connor on the TV show. I can't remember what his name is. Decker.
Like Thomas Decker.
Thomas Decker.
Yeah.
There was a movie he did where he's got a little boy and he takes him out to the mountains to go out and play in the snow. Where he gets out there, the son's falling asleep in the car, so he gets out and walks around, and he goes back and his son's gotten out of the car and he can't find them, and they're out in the woods and they find them frozen to death. A 4-year-old boy, and I had to turn the movie off. I was like, I can't watch this. So movies like that are the ones I can't watch now. Like I can't like a movie like Antichrist where the baby falls out the window, things like that. Like as a parent, like a movie like Keen where the guy's lost his daughter, Abigail Breslin goes missing at a train station, and now you're following the father, and his life is ruined. He goes to the train station all the time. He's like desperate to find his daughter, like kind of like The Vanishing, but it's his child. And the whole movie is about this guy can't move on with life because he doesn't know what happened to his daughter. And he lost her. And that shit affects me more than any horror movie. So it may not have done that before I was a dad as much. I think it still would have because I'm an artist. I'm sensitive anyway, but definitely after fatherhood, I find myself crying a lot more, a lot easier, and just having a lot of trouble with that. So like even like I talked about my early movies, some of the Girl Number 3, I could probably never write that movie today because I wouldn't want to film it. I wouldn't want to do it.
Actually, yeah.
So I mean, even then, I would have had a hard time filming it, and that was right after she was born. But I don't know. I just think you change. I have the night off, so I'm good to talk about anything you got. If you want to hang out, I'm good to talk about horror.
Yeah, I want to ask real fast, or people who are still watching, I want to ask real fast because it's on my brain. I'm trying to think of something to do for the next show. Next week is our 6-year anniversary for the Horror Syndicate, not Discourse. This is our 3rd year of doing Discourse, but like, so we're kicking around some ideas. But my question for everybody, anybody watching or that watches this, what is your favorite horror film? Period. I want to know. Put it in the comments, or don't put it in the fucking comments since you guys don't listen to me. So mine's A Nightmare on Elm Street. I think Nate, you're on the same track, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Seth?
American Werewolf in London.
Why do I even ask? Why do I even ask? I know what the answer is for you. It's like I'm waiting for you to say something, and then it's like I'm having a fucking brain fart or something like that. Of course, I know what it is. American Werewolf. I don't know, like anybody watching, if you want to watch the show next week, what we talked about doing, what was it, Nate? You have a better way of
Well,
saying it than I do.
yeah, we were talking about like greatest love stories in horror movies. I don't know why that came to my mind, but stuff like Dracula, where there's actual where the plot revolves around a love story.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen a conversation about that, but I don't know. I mean, I kind of get tired of the list thing. I don't know how other people. I like these type of episodes where we focus on a movie and we get to really dissect it and talk about it. Those are the things I had most fun with.
I think it made fun of for my pick, but it's the Lost Boys. What's wrong with the Lost Boys?
I love the Lost Boys.
I love that movie. Yeah,
like
I love that.
It's one of the funnest movies.
Yeah, that was one of those that were in.
Entity is the greatest love story.
It was on TV all the fucking time. I've watched it. I've got 3 copies of it. The Entity is the greatest love story. Oof. That's all I want to say. Favorite movies, guys. What do you want to just do the best horror movie of all time next week? Since you want to do individual movies, I mean, come on. We've talked about doing it. Come on, the best horror movie of all time is
American Werewolf in London.
We already talked about that too.
Oh,
that was the season opener last year.
Apparently, it's Evil Dead 2.
It is not Evil Dead 2. It's A Nightmare on Elm Street. Come on, we have not done a singular episode on A Nightmare on Elm Street. I suck at lists. I love lists. And Nate, your heart lies with lists. Come on. Don't try to front.
That's my
I can't pull that word off.
It's a product of my mental illness, is what looks like it is. But
is that what mine is? I make lists all the time.
I tend to I think it's just my overactive brain is what it is. Like if I stop working, my mind goes, do something. I should make a list of my favorite this. Just to occupy my time. It's weird.
It's
I just
fun,
cannot rest.
It's fun, right?
And I just love talking about shit I love. Plain and simple. That's why I make them. That's why I want to share, because I think it's important for people to share the things that they love. I think that's how things live on. And I make these lists, and it makes my day when someone says, "I've never heard of this. I got to see this," and then they go out see it and they write me and say, "Hey man, thanks for the recommendation. I saw it. I loved it." They may have never heard of that movie, and that's the thing. Like at some point, someone hipped me to a movie, or told me about a movie, and Reservoir Dogs changed my life. Well, because a friend told me about it. I didn't know about the movie, and I saw it and I went, "Oh my god!" This is so much different than anything I've seen. And I didn't realize you could do movies like this. And so I think it's important for us to talk about the things we love and not focus on the things we hate so much. Everyone wants to people are so much faster to jump on things they hate. And it's like,
guilty.
It's just like, man, just like, because I don't know, I get really inspired by something. I would like other. That's the only time I'll argue with anybody too, is when someone is like, when they've misunderstood something or not, I've read it wrong, and they hate it, and I'm like, well, you didn't notice this, you didn't see this. That's why you're having a problem with that. And I've been able to change people's minds in some ways, sometimes on that. And because, I'm fine. I know everybody's not going to like everything you like, because that would be weird if they did, because that's what makes.
I think we've done that here too, though, Nate. Because there's like different, even with me and talking to you guys, there's things that I don't pick up when I see certain movies. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like there's different things that you've mentioned, or Seth's mentioned, or even Keith has mentioned, that I'm like, oh, okay, well, next time I watch it, I'm gonna kind of keep my eyes open for that, and that's one of the best things I think that could be about this show is people.
Well, that's one of the cool things about what I enjoy doing the shows, because there have been some titles that you guys have wanted to do that maybe I watched and maybe I watched 20 years ago and they didn't grab me, or I
Yeah.
was never a huge fan. And then when I watch these shows, I dig deep. I really pay attention to them, and I read
Yeah, you
about
do.
them, and I read, the creators, and I try to understand everything I can. And all of a sudden, I have this newfound appreciation for it, where it's like, fuck, I love this movie now. Like before, I was like, yeah, it's good, but now I'm like, no, it's brilliant. Like there's so much brilliance here, and I understand why so many people love it. And that's why I think movies deserve more viewings than one, and I think that's
Yeah.
why they also. I think it's important to do your homework. And people say, "Well, you shouldn't have to talk me into liking a movie, or I shouldn't have to be
That's
told."
not what it is, though.
And it's not that. It's
Yeah.
art. I've talked about it. Art is a perspective, and if you only come to art with your own perspective, and don't open yourself up to someone else's perspective, then you're missing it. So if you watch something or listen to an album or whatever it is, and then you go and you listen to the artist and find out what the fuck was in their brain or what was in their heart when they did that, then you can watch it through that and say, oh, okay, I didn't catch that because I was over here, but now I'm here with you and I see it. And I can still go, well, I don't like it still. Or you say, no, I get it now. I fucking appreciate it because I know what your intentions were and I know where you were coming from.
I tried with Mandy, okay? I tried.
Fuck you, dude.
I tried.
No,
the thing is one I could point out right away that after speaking to you, like chatting about it, and then the rest of the group, that I kind of like picked up on other things. So, yeah.
Mandy is a movie that I totally understand people don't like it because it's just it was what grabbed me about that movie was the freedom that Panos took in his visuals. Like I started the movie at home, and just the imagery and the plane of Starless, and I went, oh man, this movie's like taking me somewhere else, like The Wall or Clockwork Orange or something like that. Like I need to see this on a big screen. And so I stopped the movie, and I luckily it was playing locally, and I went and saw it. And that movie is 100% different in a movie theater. Because you just become, it's like, I don't know. I was amazed by it visually and like the creativity and the freedom of it. And I just really got into the ridiculousness of Nicolas Cage's character.
The bathroom scene is fantastic.
The bathroom scene, I was like, oh my God. And then like just the fighting and the Cenobites on motorcycles.
All right, I'll give it one more fucking shot.
It's just you just have to watch it as, it's just a trippy thing. And I there's not a lot of movies like Mandy. Now, again, I couldn't get into his movie that he made before that one.
Which one?
The Black Rainbow, Under the Black Rainbow, or something like that. I need to go back to it though, because I
haven't seen that one. I also haven't seen that. What was it? Color Out of Space, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, he didn't make that one, but that's
Nicolas Cage. You're talking about the director. I thought you were talking about Cage. I only care about Nicolas Cage. I'm sorry.
Well, Nicolas Cage is great as Red Miller. I just love him in that.
I'll watch it again. It's been when did we do that show? Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Well,
maybe.
I think it was 2020 when I'll give it another shot. But for you, Nate, only you.
Yeah, I mean, again, I went and saw it with my cinematographer and my producer, and we were kind of all three geeking about it and the music and the imagery. And I think I was really looking at his use of lighting and just the sometimes just watching an artist play around, it's almost like someone with their finger paints go just
watching Bob Ross.
Yeah. But just the choices that were made and things where, like, I guess it's like when I see something and like I could never do this because I'm not that creative. Like I'm not that creative an artist. Like there are artists who when I go to a convention and I see an artist who doesn't do what I do, which is kind of like photorealistic or that kind of thing, or like I came up liking Rockwell and all that stuff, but when I see an artist who's like a Clive Barker or a where only they can do what they do. Mm-hmm. It's not that it's perfect. It's not that but there's something there that's their fingerprints, And also, I got that the movie was an homage to his dad's movies. I saw Cobra, I saw Rambo, I saw that influence in that movie. This tough guy, sparks and fighting in factories and the chainsaw fight and just the most ridiculous shit. 80s macho bullshit is what Nicolas Cage goes through in that fight. In that movie, there's all those elements in there. And so I guess when I see someone who is just going for it and it doesn't give a fuck if you like it or not. And really that's kind of how it is. So, but because of that, I know, 50% or more are not going to dig, but Mandy.
I don't remember. Seth, did you like Mandy?
I was sort of in the middle on it. Like I didn't, like I if I remember correctly, I had an expectation of it based on the trailers versus what we got. I was expecting something to be like wild right from the start. And it's definitely not that. I thought Nicolas Cage was great in it. I mean, visually it looked really good. I just don't know if I'd go out of my way to rewatch it, but
I guess
ever plays in a theater, go check it out if you ever get a chance, because I felt like I was in another world in that theater.
So I'm gonna subtly do something here for you guys, just to try to figure out what we're gonna do next week. So
subliminally.
No.
Did you know? I just found this out.
What's that?
A while back. And do you know the little, like, you just throw that little clip up? Did you know about the hidden frame in Apocalypto?
No. What is it?
In Mel Gibson's Apocalypto, the Mayan movie or whatever. There's a shot of all these dead bodies laying in a field, like just all these corpses laying dead, right? And he snuck one frame in there of a close-up of those bodies, and a guy dressed up like Waldo. Where's Waldo?
Really?
Yes, it's there in the movie.
Oh, shit.
If you slow-mo the movie, and just look it up, Where's Waldo Apocalypto, and you'll see the picture. And it's like, just, because that movie's so heavy, so dark and heavy. Like, Mel Gibson still threw Where's Waldo joke.
Where's Waldo of all things?
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a screenshot of it.
There is. I saw it in
an article. You saw it?
Yeah. So if you Google it, you'll find that image of Waldo laying there with the dead bodies.
Yeah, I type in W after Apocalypto and it comes up as Where's Waldo. Oh my God. That's wow. I guess Mel Gibson has somewhat of a.
Well, he's known as a prankster, a jokester. So
is he more like Martin Riggs, or is he?
I guess he's probably more like Martin Riggs.
Yeah. So what do you think, guys? Are we gonna do this next week? I mean, come on.
I'll talk about Nightmare. I mean,
I'll just keep flashing images on the screen until you say yes. Oh, wrong one. It's the best smile of all time. Am I wrong?
I think Donald's just happy that we're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. I mean, look, I can't help it. We did a commentary, I believe, on Elm Street, the first one, and I think we've done the list of which is the best one, which obviously the first one, and then everybody likes Dream Warriors a lot. But I'm a Dream Master guy, first of all. We know this. But like, I'd love to dig into. That's probably the movie I've studied the most of all horror movies. Elm Street documentaries, the book, which I think you did some of the art in, right?
I did the Never Sleep Again book, which is
this
probably I didn't. I mean, that's the paperback, but I did
that's all I got, man. Paperback.
That is a 250-page book only about the first movie. So they have pretty much everything. They interviewed Charlie Sheen, who was almost Glenn, and he interviewed the girls, the jump rope girls. He interviewed so many people, and that's what happened. Like, he set out to make that book about the series, like the documentary was, but he got so much information on the first movie that no one had ever heard and seen. He was talking to crew people who went into their that's your
fucking movie.
Before Confession came out, Tommy asked to put that in the book. He found people who worked crew on Nightmare who went into their garage and pulled out boxes of photo albums that they hadn't looked at since 1984. He goes, we were peeling Polaroids off the backs of boxes of images, like, they had a 4th of July party when they were making the movie. So there's like all these pictures of like Johnny Depp and Robert and all them hanging out at this place. Had all these images of Robert in makeup that no one had ever seen. All these incredible things and all these stories, and of course got rid of the whole David Warner rumor that David Warner was cast as Freddy.
Did they actually body cast Amanda Wyss?
I believe so. Not bad. But he again, the David Warner thing, he interviews David, Wes, and Bob Shea about the whole David Warner thing, and all three of them said no, that was never, like, David was never asked or approached or.
Well, there's that image that's out there where
the image is,
what I'm talking about?
It's the image of the makeup when they say this is David Warner. It's a fucking bust. And in Never Sleep Again, if you got the book, they've got the full uncropped shot of that bust a couple times, and it's just early makeup for Robert, because he did different types of makeup.
Like David Warner,
because a lot of the makeup that he didn't use, he also did Night of the Comet that year, David Miller. Picture. So there's some unused Freddy makeup that's on like the cop in Night of the Comet.
Oh, really?
Like
that's CJ Graham, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, CJ Graham. If anybody doesn't know, that's Jason from Part 6, the best.
Is that him in that in Night of the Comet, or is it? Because I'm thinking, I
know. No, Night of the Comet. I'm thinking of
Highway to Hell. Highway to Hell,
which we mentioned twice now in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hold on. We got House of the Devil poster in the video game Until Dawn. Really, that's cool. Did you guys like Village of the Damned? I have seen it. Which one? That's the question.
Original.
I actually like them both. I like the Carpenter version a little bit better.
I did the Blu-ray cover for.
You did and plus it's got Mark Hamill in it.
The Carpenter version.
And it's got Superman and Luke Skywalker.
It's got Superman and Luke Skywalker, man.
Yeah. There's a picture of John Waters on set. This is I've had this book for a couple of years. I've never read it. Maybe I'll have to read it this week.
Well, it also supports. People gave me shit about my prequel, and that. Oh, where's his daughter? Where's his wife? And I said he did
from Freddy's Dead.
And like Freddy did not have.
No, I take it back. We're doing Freddy's Dead next week.
He didn't have a fucking family in Wes Craven's movie. He lived in the boiler room. In the movie, you see where he sleeps. She finds the crucifix on his bed. It's there, and there's photos in that book of Rachel Talalay sitting on Freddy's bed in his room. There's shots of Robert as Freddy in that room. That's where Freddy lived. That's where he builds the glove in the beginning of the movie in that space. Wes Craven thought the whole idea of Freddy being married with children was ridiculous. He thought that was not the character.
No, it kind of is. Well, we've already decided. Well, I've decided that, and I said this earlier to somebody today, that Freddy's Dead is kind of. I love Freddy's Dead, okay, but it's a fucking cartoon, man.
Yeah,
it really is. I mean, it's they didn't save the best for last. That's for sure. And then we got New Nightmare after that, anyways, and that was much better film. Yeah, man, I think we should talk about Elm Street. Seth, what do you think, man?
Sure, why not?
We can't talk about American Werewolf in London again.
We've never talked about that one, have we?
Yeah, yeah. That was the first thing we talked about when season 2 started. Was
Really?
that? Because I tried showing the trailer, and then they were like, cut that clip off the top of the episode, because I was like, oh, let's start showing trailers, and it didn't work. So yeah. I mean, I'm up for anything, but like, I'd love to talk about. I just started watching the documentary for Never Sleep Again the other day, and I forgot how much I love it, even though it's 4 hours long. But talking about the first movie and the first movie only I can't believe we haven't actually done that other than the commentary. We haven't done a commentary in a long time
we
either.
We probably talked a lot about the movie in the commentary, though, I'd imagine.
God, I'm gonna have to go back and watch the commentary, I guess, too, see if it's worth it, and then.
Or we could just do part 4.
Yes, we could.
Have we not done Dream Master? We did a commentary of that one too.
Did we? Or was it Dream Warriors?
We did Dream Warriors. We didn't do Dream
Yeah.
Master.
Oh, okay.
I would love to talk Dream Master.
Let's do Dream Master then.
Okay, so let me ask the people in the audience who may or may not watch this, or who are watching. Should we talk about Elm Street from 1984 or the Dream Master, me and Seth's favorite sequel? What's your favorite sequel, Nate?
One on your shirt.
So basic.
But the thing is, the first 4 I love so much. Like those are my favorites, and so like Dream Master is my third favorite.
You can't watch Dream Master without this one. So
Dream Master was the first one I saw in theaters. Actually,
this was the first one I saw in theaters.
I love it.
Or 6. Yeah, I fucking that was like, you gotta admit, man, that was the best time to be alive. Oh, my friend Richard's watching. How about that? That was like the best time to be alive. I'll never forget the build up after seeing this, and then I think Dream Master was the first movie I started fucking theorizing, like what could happen based on the trailers, based off the Benny Vincent Invasion video, Love Kills. Fucking love that song because of that movie. I do. Seth, you love that song? Love Kills, you got it? It's on fucking repeat in my house, man.
Well, what's funny is when it comes to the soundtrack for Dream Master, I actually prefer anything.
Oh.
I have that on my iPod.
Tuesday Night's Nightmare, man. That's a good one. Come on.
It's easily the best soundtrack of the series. I mean, you got the Nightmare and that, and Sinead O'Connor song, and Love Kills is
put them on, put them on, put them on me. Put them on, put them on, put them on me. Sorry.
Yeah, I love that movie, every bit of it. I used to. I had the MTV special that he did on tape and wore the hell out of that thing because it had clips from Dream Warriors on it. And it's when Freddie was hosting videos with Kevin. God, I can't remember the guy's name, Kevin Neal or something like that. And they played like Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare and Ozzy Osbourne's Bark at the Moon. And they played the Fat Boys, Ready for Freddie and Love Kills, and I used to watch that all the time. They didn't play that one because I think maybe the lawsuit was still going on. I don't think that video the video was ever released because of that. For Nightmare on My Street.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a video for that.
I know they made one. I think somebody like bootlegged it, like put it online a year or two ago. I mean, I remember watching that clip, and they would play clips from. I think they played clips from all the movies, but they played a few from Dream Master. So of course, I was all excited about that.
Yeah,
I know they played the clip from when Kincaid's being chased by Freddy through the auto yard. I remember that clip being on there.
I remember that because I remember thinking the junkyard was going to play a huge major role in the movie, like it become the new boiler room because that's where Freddy's remains were, but it didn't.
I love the boiler room sequences, like the boiler room sequence in part 4 where he's confronting Kristen, and you got the red and green lighting and the chains and all that.
Yeah.
I love that movie, especially a movie that was so rushed and didn't really have a script. It was kind of
And a
made off
new
the
director,
cuff.
really, too. Rennie Harlan didn't do much before that.
Rennie Harlan, Nightmare had some big visionary directors, really.
Mhm.
Rennie Harlan and even Hopkins on the fifth one,
Yeah.
where the
Yeah.
fifth one is not as good, but visually it is. It's interesting. It's like there's a lot of things that Hopkins does with the camera and with lighting and set that's extremely interesting. And
Yeah, Dream Child doesn't get enough credit for what it is because of it's not the greatest of the stories, I guess. But like it's set well, directed well, cinematography is very well in that one. Uh, but yeah, I definitely, man, I'm stoked now. I'm ready to watch Dream Master again. I was thinking about watching Manny tonight. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. I got to get my Freddy on. Yeah, here. I was trying to find a picture of that boiler room scene. This is the only one I could really find. It does look really cool though.
I remember I had the Fangoria magazine that came out around the poster issue, and they had a poster of Robert in that makeup in a kind of a white boiler room area with the the pipes and the everything. And I had that poster on my wall, and I love that image. And I need to find that book. I was at my buddy Ray, who helped on our film, and we were filming on his property. He has some woods behind the house, and he had a garage where he has his horror, and the garage was full of horror shit, right? So I go in there, and he's got like his tool case, and he's got that poster that I had on his on this shelving or whatever. I was like, oh shit, that's the poster, man. I said, I fucking had that poster on my wall when I was 13. I fucking love that poster.
Yeah, when I went to my first horror hound, that was the first thing I did was find myself a Dream Master poster. Like what do they call, one sheet or whatever. Because that's also my favorite poster out of all the posters.
It's an awesome poster. That's
Dude, that poster
I still love
cool.
I still love the first one the most, but the fourth one's my second favorite Nightmare poster.
Yeah, it's fucking. I mean, the word epic gets thrown around too much, but that fucking poster's epic, man. Like Dream Warriors is too. Like that's one of the best things about the Elm Street movies. The first 4 or 5 movies, I'll say 5, have some of the best looking posters like of any horror film series.
Matthew Peak nailed it every time, man.
Mm-hmm.
His posters were awesome.
I got them all behind me. I need to put that back up. I took some lady came to my house, so I had an outdoor horror movie night, and so I knew her, but like, anyway, she's like, "You have horror movie posters in your living room, and your kids see that," and I felt guilty, so I took them down because I had Jason Lives, Dream Master, and Halloween 6. And my Halloween 6 poster got fucking destroyed because of it. Pissed me off. Now, I'm gonna put my Dream Master poster back up. Fuck that.
And let's admit, like, these movies, I mean, my daughter grew up around these movies.
Bam.
It's never affected her negatively
to
be at horror conventions or anything like it. It's not like it. If anything, it's like just made it no big deal. It's just there. I mean, my daughter's been on horror movie sets since she was a baby. She's been at horror conventions since she was a baby.
I still have a good memory of your daughter at a horror convention. So
she's seen it all,
Yeah, my daughter, she sings along to the Tuesday night Nightmare song at the beginning. I have a video of her doing it. I showed Tuesday night, and she thought it was the coolest thing ever. It is the coolest thing ever. My daughter was pissed because she wanted to meet Tuesday night. I was like, "You're not missing much. She smells like cigarettes." But
all I could think of was Mick Strawn, the art production guy, said, what a pain in the ass it is for scheduling when one of your actresses is named Tuesday.
I mean, we're going to get into it next week, but I really did like Tuesday night as Kristen. And for me, I prefer her. I know that's kind of sacrilege or whatever because Patricia Arquette plays Kristen and does a very well job in Dream Warriors. But man, I love Tuesday.
I like Tuesday. I mean, I prefer Patricia. I think Patricia's a better actress.
She is.
But I didn't mind Tuesday. you know, of course I was like, where'd she go? Where'd the girl go? But it didn't.
Hey, baby, you're sucking on the wrong nozzle. I'm looking at pictures. Sorry.
Yeah, and I wonder if Patricia would have fit in that cast because
I don't think so, man. Well, first of all,
Patricia was so haunted. She played it so haunted. Kristen Parker just looked like someone who was very again haunted, just haunted.
If let me ask you this: if Patricia comes back, does the story unfold the same way? Because I mean, Alice, it's her movie, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, we gotta stop talking about this because I could go on forever talking about this movie. I'm ready to fucking talk about some dream. I know Seth is too. I know, like, remember when we had Lisa Wilcox on the show and you were sweating the whole time? Yeah. Should get her back. I mean, I guess we did talk about 4 a little bit when she was on the show, but
yeah, we bounced her career and her life and part 4 and 5 and all that. We didn't just talk about that movie.
Yeah, I would definitely love to dedicate an entire episode to that movie, though, man. That movie, that's the movie. Like, if I'm ever down or upset, man, that's the movie I put on. You know, like, it's not Star Wars because I love, you know how much I love Star Wars. It's not Batman Returns. That's my favorite Batman movie. It's fucking Dream Master. I was sick a couple years ago, and like I was like feeling terrible, and I just had finished with a con, and my comic partner came over at the time. Now he's a narcissistic piece of shit, but well, he always was. But anyway, he came over and he's like, "Man, you doing okay?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I feel terrible. My head hurts." Blah blah blah. He's like, "Okay." I was like, "I'm gonna lay on the couch." He's like, "Okay, you gonna get some sleep?" I was like, "No, I'm gonna watch Dream Master."
I'm gonna get you a wash rag for your head and make you watch Dream Master.
I did. I said I put Dream Master on.
Make it some chicken soup.
Yeah, that's it. That's what Dream Master is, the chicken soup for the soul.
It is. It's a comfort movie for me as well. Again, when I had the opportunity to get my photo op with the cast from part 4 a few years ago.
Oh, right. You did do that, didn't you?
Yeah, because Lisa and Tuesday and Robert and Brooke and
I love Lisa
Danny and shit. Who else was there? Like, I think Ken was there. And yeah, and so it was a photo op where you can have somebody with you. So I asked my dad to go. I'll tell the story later, next week about the whole thing. Yeah. But yeah, I had my dad in the photo with me because he's the one that took me to see the movie. So yeah, that movie totally means a lot to me.
Yeah, I think the 3 of us. Seth, say something. We're all talking about next week when we're talking about this movie. You better open your mouth and start talking about it because you love this movie as much as I do.
Yeah, I'm saving all for next week. You fuckers are talking now about it.
Dude, I could talk about it.
Because we know Ray's going to change his mind on what the show's about again.
Oh yeah.
No, we're going to talk about great catchphrases.
It was supposed to be films, like. It was supposed to be your next.
No, I had a schedule laid out for the show, but like with Keith stepping away for a bit, I was like, I don't want him to. If he comes back, I don't want him to miss whatever it is he wants to talk about. So like, we just kind of throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. And then Nate, you're like, can we talk about the House of the Devil? I'm like, fuck yes, let's do it. And your next is one that we haven't talked about. We mentioned it during our home invasion. It had to be one of the top 5.
Yeah, we brought it up then.
Yeah, but it's an excellent film. We still have a lot to get to. Seth wants to, for some fucking reason, wants to delve into the Hellraiser sequels. And
I know Jared does too, but
Jared does too. I mean, I could do that, I guess. And then we're at some point we're gonna do top 25 werewolf movies. I think. I keep pushing that back because I don't want to watch werewolf movies. No offense, Seth. They're all right. They have their place. Yeah, they have their place, but not on my TV. No, I like werewolf movies. Some of them.
Yeah, no, I get it.
That's the thing is top 25. I gotta fucking see if I've seen 25 werewolf movies. I think I've seen. I know I've seen at least 20, but like, so if I was gonna say some of my top werewolf movies right now, The Howling, obviously, Marsupial. No, what's that fucking
I
one?
it's I love werewolves, but it does a genre that I feel just is
Just okay. Bad Moon was good.
15% amazing, and a lot of like, oh, I mean,
You're breaking Seth's heart.
well, no, like, because I mean, I love American Werewolf in London. It's one of my favorite horror films, and it's easily the best werewolf movie. I like The Howling. I like Dog Soldiers. I like Silver Bullet.
Keep
I
Silver Bullet
like-
out of your mouth, okay?
I like a lot. I like A Company of Wolves. I like. There's a lot of really cool werewolf movies, but so many of them are just like, okay. I mean, there's a lot of like, you know, it's one of those genres that they just don't always get it right, or there's just something about, or they don't do enough good ones. It's just like Wolfman, of course, is great, but there just aren't that many. In terms of the movie monsters, there's a lot of shitty fucking werewolf movies, and there's a lot of shitty vampire movies too. But yeah, I think there's probably more out of monsters. You could probably pick more good vampire movies and more than werewolf movies. You could pick more, and that's my thing. Like I fuck as a kid. Werewolves was my favorite monster. That was my favorite movie.
Why don't you make one?
I just did.
Well.
And and mine probably sucks, but
Let Seth be the judge of that.
But it's just I don't know. It's the genre.
I think I can agree.
It's hard to hit. I don't know why, and they don't make
I don't
enough.
either.
And when they do, they're probably low budget, and therefore they don't have the budget to really do it properly, or they're.
Did you see Late Phases?
Yeah, and I don't like the werewolves in that one. I like the story.
The movie's good, yeah.
I mean, the suits, but I just don't like the way they move. They look weird. They act weird to me. Like they
look like hyenas.
There's like there was one like they were walking across, like one passes a window, and I'm like, dude, he's like he's out strolling. Like it was weird. Like there was like weird choices of behavior of werewolves that in that movie where I went, well, that looks funny to me. But the suits were good, and I like the story. I like Nick. It's the werewolves just kind of lost me. If it maybe re-edited it and took out the werewolves a little bit, because I did not dislike the story or the movie itself.
What about the werewolves in American Werewolf in Paris?
God, I haven't watched that since it came out.
Weren't they all CGI?
Yeah, from what I remember, and I love Julie Delpy, so maybe I'd watch that again. But
that movie doesn't bother me. There's not a good release of it, but because I was 16 or 17 when that came out. I was fucking there, because I was excited because I had seen the first American Werewolf in London. That's a fucking landmark horror movie, and I was like,
you're gonna follow that movie with that. I mean,
that's the same thing with The Exorcist 2.
Yeah,
I love it. That's not really, but like The Exorcist 2 followed The Exorcist, one of the greatest horror movies of all time.
And they got John Borman, who made fucking Deliverance. I mean, it's not like they got a bad director to do it. It's just, it's The Exorcist. It's like when you're following something that's great. American Werewolf in London is the greatest werewolf movie. Some people may say Howling. I think it's American Werewolf in London.
No, I agree with that.
And so you're trying to follow the best. Just like that fucker saying this movie's no Rosemary's Baby. Of course it's not. I wasn't expecting it to be Rosemary's Baby. Just because the girl has Devil's Baby doesn't mean it's going to be as good as Roman Polanski's movie,
That's a landmark horror movie.
I don't expect any horror movie to be as good as Rosemary's Baby ever. It's just it's like this one guy used to say he didn't watch anything that Ridley Scott didn't make. It's like, well, everything has to be as good as a Ridley Scott movie. I mean, come on.
People are fucking dipshits, though, man.
Yeah, I don't get them. Like there's like this elitist things. Like, there's other movies other than Ridley movies that are good.
That's a problem in horror, though. You know that there's a lot of elitism in horror, and that's why they don't give movies like It Follows a chance. People think It Follows is a shitty movie. That movie's fucking amazing in my opinion. Seth, did you see that one? I don't think you were on that show, were you?
Yeah, it was.
Were you? Okay. That was so long ago, I can't even remember. Was I on the show? No, I'm joking. I haven't missed a show, I don't think. I'm not allowed. My audience is waiting. They're here for me. No. But yeah, I think that's been a big problem, especially with social media, is people, being elitists about these fucking movies, and a lot for horror fans are
everyone
too, right?
Well, so everyone's so proud of it and thinks that they're the biggest. That's really where it
just
comes
like
from.
those reviews.
As a horror fan, as a horror nut, like nobody else who watched that fucking horror movie is a horror fan. Like I, as the horror fan in this group of horror fans, am a bigger horror fan. Like the whole biggest thing. I'm like, dude, like I'm a Freddy fan, but someone's got Freddy tattooed on their dick. Somebody has it. Like I'm not that big of a fan.
It's funny because I used to say I'm the biggest Star Wars fan, then I learned my lesson. So
yeah, like there's no such thing as the biggest fan. There just isn't. Like
Steve Sansweet is the biggest Star Wars fan.
There's someone else out there who is like disturbingly obsessed with that movie to the point where they don't even function because they adore that movie so much. And who cares? Who needs to be the biggest fan? And it doesn't matter if you saw it on opening day in 1984 or you saw it last week. You still love it the same as anybody. Let's like Hannibal Buress said, I discovered Jimi Hendrix because of Hulk Hogan when he came out the Voodoo Child. It doesn't mean that just because I wasn't there in the 60s to hear him play it, that it got any better or worse or, does it connect? It doesn't matter when you come to these things. You could be just as in love with them as someone who was there and saw them play in front of 5 people. They're still great. It's never going to lose its greatness.
No, just Jason Lives will never lose its greatness, right, Seth?
I mean, it's the second best in that.
It's not the second best. Come on, bro. Lord have mercy. When am I going to break you of this?
Never.
So what remind me, what was number 1 on the Discourse ranking?
For what?
The Friday the 13th movies.
Well, that was a completely biased and
it wasn't biased. There was
it was rigged.
It was rigged.
Actually, so the final chapter is actually the real president. Okay.
Final chapter's fine. I mean, I like it.
All those people in Ted White t-shirts stormed the Horror Syndicate yard grounds.
They're outside my house right now. Ted White's the best. He is probably one of the best, though. But like, I'm trying to refrain from talking about Friday the 13th because we've done it a lot, but it's hard not to because they are a lot of fun. Those movies are a lot of fun. You gotta admit.
Oh, they're the ultimate party movie. We talked about party movie. This is not a party movie. House of the Devil. But if I got a party and I throw on fucking Friday the 13th Part 4, we're gonna fucking have a ball. We're gonna have fun. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like
I think Part 5 is a better party movie. A lot of boobs.
They're all fun for a party. Really, even the ones that are a little more serious because they're just they're not The Shining. They're not The Exorcist. Their nature it's just young people having fun and then getting killed and getting chased by a killer. So it's just fun.
So let me ask you guys this now. I'm having an outdoor horror movie night coming up in about 2.5 weeks. You guys are invited, of course. I know you can't make it because of where you are, but like you're always invited. So are you out there? Outdoor horror movie night in my backyard. I want to have like party. So we've shown Evil Dead. We've shown Friday the 13th 3 because we had 3D glass. I bought 100 pack of fucking 3D glasses. I have like 80 left over still. But anyway, like what party movies would you consider showing? 2 or 3 movies. Right now in my head, it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Okay, because I feel like that's a fucking party movie. That's a fun movie. Chop Top just steals the fucking show. We know this. And then Return of the Living Dead. Those are the two that are on my mind right now. Do you guys have any other? And same thing for anybody watching. If you have comment, let me know what you think. Good horror party movies that you can watch with a group. Those are my picks right now. TCM2 and Return of the Living Dead.
Reanimator.
Reanimator, yes. I just told somebody I can't watch that with her because
Dead Alive.
The scene.
Yeah. The head scene.
The head scene.
Dead Alive.
Oh, that's a good one.
Seth's
looking at his collection, thinking about it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot.
Oh.
I mean,
Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh shit.
I
got it right here. It's here. I just need to watch it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Nate.
She watched Reanimator with me, Rachel. Yeah. I don't think it went over very well.
I'd say
especially the head scene.
It's just usually something that's very visually wacky and probably a little bloody, funny.
Yeah.
Evil Dead 2.
Deadly Friend.
Deadly Friend would be
fun. I haven't watched that yet. I need to watch Deadly Friend. I've done Evil Dead 2. I don't want to do Evil Dead 2 again.
Critters 2.
Which one? Critters 2?
Critters 2.
Yeah.
House 2.
Course, is that what that was called? Something like that. Critters 2 is amazing. It's better than the first one, in my opinion.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
The bounty hunter transforms into a woman, and she's still got the staple in her chest. That's awesome. And boobs. So
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
That's a good one. I didn't even think about that. Everybody loves that movie.
Yeah.
Killer Clowns is good. Seth, what do you? Seth's looking at his collection. Like, I admire this. That's the way to go about it. Look at the collection.
When did Fred Durst get here?
What?
Got the back of his red hat.
Fred Durst. Somebody called me that one.
Just one of those days.
What about some 90s? Like Freddy's Dead would be fun. Party movie.
That's going to be when people start leaving, probably.
We're wrapping this up.
I've shown Candyman also before. I've shown Zombie, the Fulci movie. My brother-in-law wanted me to show Emmanuel and the Last Cannibals, which is basically a softcore porno movie. I don't have it, but
Monster Squad.
Monster Squad's a good one. That'd be a really good one if I had I think kids could come. That'd be okay. But that's a great movie for especially kids like Helena's age. She's 8. She loves Monster Squad also. Who doesn't love Monster Squad? If you don't like Monster Squad, you're probably in the wrong place.
Lost Boys,
yeah.
I
have 3 copies.
Zombieland.
Do you remember when we tried to do a Zombieland episode?
Drag Me to Hell.
Oh, yeah, Drag Me to Hell is a good one too.
Yeah, we couldn't do a movie.
No, we couldn't even talk about it. We did a bullshitting for like an hour.
What are we going to talk about?
Like we're doing right now. They're like, House of the Devil. What are you guys talking about? Fucking Zombieland. That's okay. It's okay. You guys, people are still watching, so if it bothers you that we're bullshitting, ask us a question. Ask us anything. We have those shows.
Ask us anything, but I'll throw one more out. From Dusk Till Dawn, I would say, is a party.
Oh, that's another good one.
I was just going to say that, too. I was just looking at my DVD.
Sure you were.
No, fuck.
Birdemic.
Cut the Birdemic. I don't have that shit. It's got to be streaming on YouTube or something, right?
The Howlin' 3, the marsupials.
Oh my god, you and the fucking
party movie, man. You'll have a good time.
If you want to slow time down, watch marsupials. I swear to God, that movie's like 85 minutes or something like that, but it takes like 3 hours to watch it.
Child's Play 2.
Child's Play 2 is a good one, yeah.
Anybody any questions, or should we go?
No, nobody's saying shit. Come on, people. Come on. There's also a delay, so who knows? Ghoulies 2. Somebody said something about Ghoulies 2 earlier. That's a good one. What about Ghoulies 3? Ghoulies Go to College.
Jaws. Jaws 3.
What? I'm never letting go of that one or this one. I do. We had a night. So my in-laws have a pool, and I talked to them last year. I was like, "Can I bring my screen and projector over, and we can watch Jaws in the fucking pool?" How cool would that be? I think that'd be pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Or am I just a fucking chud?
Cabin Fever, that'd be a good one.
God, Cabin Fever is so much fun. I remember. So when that came out, my mom was in the hospital. This was a couple months before she passed away, and she gave me money to take my brother out to go see a movie, because to try to get his mind off of finding out that she had cancer. So went to the theater, and I was like, okay, there's two options. We could either see Underworld, or we can see Cabin Fever. And he chose Cabin Fever. And the scene with Dennis on the porch, I look at him like, what the fuck did you drag me into? Pancakes, yeah.
No pancakes.
I mean,
no
I
pancakes.
like Cabin Fever actually, but like when I saw that scene and he started doing all the goddamn karate shit, I'm like, what the fuck? It's not a bad movie overall, though. That's how we got. Well, I got introduced to Eli Roth, so I like Eli Roth quite a bit.
That's a positive campfire. Ooh, face.
That's him too, isn't it? That's Eli Roth. Right?
Eli Roth, yeah.
Yeah.
Then what? The sheriff guy? You're the party guy.
Oh, you're the party guy.
Party man. Are you a party man?
Yeah, I can't remember if it's party man or party guy. That guy is
Deputy Winston.
I'm trying to think of his real name.
Oh,
I've seen him in a few other things. Hey, Luke, you're invited too, man. Drive 4 or 5 hours up for the night.
Yeah, he was also in 2001 Maniacs, where Eli Roth actually played that same character from Cabin Fever, and you learn how he learns about faced.
Christ, man, I forgot about that. I gotta watch that one again too. When a dude falls in the water is terrifying. At the beginning of the movie, or is it whenever Powers? No, what is his name? Not Powers.
Ryder Strong,
yeah, from Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
Which I didn't watch that show, but I knew that because I was like, that's the kid that annoyed me in that show. Yeah, no questions. And plus that whole thing in the hospital, it's like had a Shining moment where you see somebody in a rabbit costume or something like that. You remember that?
It's
the movie's so fucking weird.
I saw that movie.
I bought it on. Actually, the cool thing was I bought it on DVD when it came out, and I'm like, okay. The reason I bought this was because there's a commentary with Eli Roth. I want to see what the fuck he was thinking when he made this movie. And he didn't really talk about that as much, but he did talk about why he liked horror movies. And it wasn't even a horror movie. You ever hear the story about what got him into horror? It was Indiana Jones and the
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah, the face melt scene. He got up out of the seat and went in the middle of the theater in the aisle and started throwing up. That's amazing. That movie never did that to me.
That movie, that scene was scary as a kid, like that, and of course, Temple Doom has tons of scary moments.
The heart rip. Maldorado.
There were things like Flash Gordon where he has to put his arm in the thing, and that used to creep me out. The Beastmaster where the flying people show up and turn you to bones. There were a lot of scenes.
Is that Don Coscarelli?
Yeah, there's a lot of movie scenes where there were scenes in movies that really creeped me out as a kid. I remember Twilight Zone, the girl with no mouth creeped me out watching the TV.
That one.
Little things like that stuck with me because we didn't really watch a lot of horror movies when I was little. So
growing up at my house, my mom was a horror nut, man.
My parents weren't really into it. Like I remember seeing Poltergeist when it came out. I remember seeing Twilight.
That's Helena's favorite horror movie now. Phantasm and Poltergeist.
But we didn't watch a lot.
So Helena started throwing shade on a friend of mine the other day because they have not seen Phantasm. I was talking to somebody and she goes, she hasn't seen Phantasm? What has she been doing? I'm like, you're 8. I know Phantasm.
How do they not know?
Yeah.
Boy.
There's a video on my Instagram of her holding the Phantasm case and going, boy, she loves that. I don't know why she likes that movie so much. That Poltergeist or her. Have we ever talked about Poltergeist?
No, we haven't.
Oh shit, man, I fucking love that movie. I actually like all three of them. I'm not one of those who's like all three. So I like three for what it is, and two is really really good. And Joe Beth Williams is so good in those movies. So is Craig T. Nelson. We should do a Poltergeist show soon.
Poltergeist has the greatest movie ending ever. I love that ending.
Which when they push the TV out.
Yeah, when he pushes the TV out on the balcony.
Yeah, I love that. But I like the scene where his boss comes up and he's like yelling at him, "You forgot to move the bodies," or whatever. Like he's like, and then he sees the fucking house disappear in thin air, and then they deny it in the next movie. I guess that's what you do. How can a house just disappear in thin air? That's such a good movie. Who loves Poltergeist? Let me know in the comments since nobody's really commenting. Come on, give me a question. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this bitch up and you guys won't see us again for a week. A week! And we're going to be talking about Dream Master. Hell fucking yeah, man. I'm stoked. On a scale of 1 to 10, how stoked are you guys for this?
Please go to 11.
Okay. Do we want to talk about anything else or do we want to bounce?
I guess nobody wants to talk to us.
I can't believe that. We're so charismatic. I thought I had my.
I wore my best AC/DC shirt for this.
I wore this
fuckers
Dream Warrior shirt. I don't even have a Dream Master shirt.
We can talk about Maximum Overdrive. Another good party movie.
Yeah, I could see that too.
I love that fucking movie.
As of right now, though, I think I'm going to stand firm on at least Return of the Living Dead because I have this thing about wanting to see Linnea Quigley topless in my backyard, and it's going to happen. So, hey, dudes, I've had fun listening. Luke, you are a great dude, straight up.
Luke should be on the show. You should have him on the show.
You want to come on the show sometime, Luke? So what we're going to have Richard Stringham on at some point. I just got to reach out to him. Well, what we do with guests like that, if we do that, then who's going to watch our show? He's the only one who watches. But you can pick the movie, and that's what we'll discuss. Seth, are you okay with that?
What's that?
If we, now you listen to me. If we have Luke on the show sometime, if he picks a movie and we discuss that, as long as it's not something we've already talked about.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, here's something good. Have you guys ever dedicated an episode to movies that legit scared you? No, I don't think we have. And Sherry, just so you know, I'm never going to tell you what scares me. Yes. Okay, Luke, you're in. Can you guys think of one off the top of your head? I mentioned TerraVision as somebody the other day. That I know that's silly, but like that movie scared the shit out of me when I had like 103 fever, and I watched that fucking movie and I went to bed that night and I had this camouflage G.I. Joe sleeping bag, and I thought it was the monster from TerraVision when my fever broke. It scared the hell out of me.
I definitely know the ones that scared me. I mean, The Exorcist, Poltergeist.
Really, Poltergeist?
The Poltergeist scared me. The Shining.
Faced scene.
The Evil Dead, the first time I watched it.
Really? Evil Dead?
It creeped me out. I don't know if it scared me, but it creeped me out. Hellraiser.
I stayed away from Hellraiser for Dawn of the Dead. That's one that scared me, for sure. The first time I saw Dawn of the Dead. And Seth's so scared he left.
I think American Werewolf in London scared me first time I watched it.
See, monsters don't scare me. Like, they never did. Like, because I grew up watching those.
Well, it's the scene. It's the opening scene is scary with the werewolves surrounding them on the moors, and then the subway scene. Carrie scenes in that scared me.
Did you ever see Autopsy of Jane Doe?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that scared me, but like I had the right atmosphere for watching. Phone was turned off, lights were off. I had this big fucking black void on the other side of the room, and I'm watching that movie, and it gave me what I needed that night. You know, that sounded sexual, but you know what I mean.
It gave me what I needed that night.
It gave me what I needed. Yeah.
Gave me what I needed.
What are you drinking? Are you getting drunk on the show?
Ice.
What is that? Budweiser? No,
No,
Labatt. Okay. Be down with that. Let's see. You see Kill List.
I wanna watch Kill List again. I did see it one time. It's Ben Wheatley's movie about kind of a cult movie.
2011.
It's one of those movies where it's slow burn. It really does, like, it really pays off at the end. Yeah, I wouldn't mind checking that out again and talking about it.
I've never seen it. I'm checking to see if it's streaming anywhere. With premium subscriptions, you can watch it on Sling and Roku channel and Amazon.
I know. I remember, like I said, when I was younger, we didn't watch a lot of horror movies. I remember Cujo scared the shit out of me when I saw it. I saw it when it came out. I was probably 7 or 8 or so. But I remember the opening of the Twilight Zone movie with Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks, where he says, "You want to see something really scary?" And he comes around, turns around, he's a monster, and it goes up in the Twilight Zone music. That scene scared me of the Twilight Zone music, like, because it follows right after it. So, like, anytime I hear the Twilight Zone music, because I saw that before I saw the show.
Yeah, but the Twilight Zone music's creepy as fuck anyway,
it's scary as fuck, but because it plays right after Dan Aykroyd turns into the monster, and you know, that scene creeped me out. That movie creeped, like I said, the Joe Dante sequence with the little girl, the sister watching TV. She has no mouth. It's just odd. I guess it's just a scary thing for a kid to see. And then, of course, the John Lithgow with the gremlin on the wing of the plane, because it's so brilliantly done. Some of the best horror filmmaking ever, in my opinion. George Miller.
I'll have to. It's been so long since I've seen that. I don't know if it's even available to even buy.
I think someone put it out a while back.
Did Scream Factory put that one out?
I don't know if
or was that's Tales from the Dark Side I'm thinking of, which I like that movie quite a bit. I'm looking right now to see if it's on Amazon, so I can just buy more shit. That's oh my god, Blu-ray's $150.
Jesus.
Anyway,
be out of print.
What's that?
Must be out of print.
Well, there's the DVD for $12, so I could get that. But I think it's in Spanish. The fuck, man. No, the DVD is $33. God, fuck you, twat. All right, well let's just wrap this one up for the night. I had fun talking about House of the Devil. Had fun bullshitting around, and always love talking to you guys and hearing from our followers. You had some good comments tonight, good questions. I don't ever comment on our fucking videos. Don't like it. Don't share it. Don't subscribe. It's reverse psychology. But yeah, we appreciate everybody who comes out and hangs out with us every Tuesday night, and soon it'll be on Wednesdays. Hopefully Jared will be back very soon. Yeah, so I don't know if he'll be back next week, but he's gonna be able to talk about this next week. So that's going to be our anniversary show. Next week on April 12th, the Horror Syndicate will be around for 6 years now. Something I started just for fun, and I love it. I hope you guys love it too. Seth, do you love the Horror Syndicate?
No, I hate it.
Son of a bitch. Nate, what about you?
It's okay.
Fuck. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. Hopefully you have a great weekend. I think I'm going to have a great weekend. Fuck. Bye.